Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Plata on a rocky mountain high, get sucked up into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Saturday, February 20th, Sunday, February 21st, for those of you across the pond and beyond. Welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm so glad you guys could join us this evening. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and I hope you guys had an awesome week, and you're staying warm. Holy shnikes, I feel so bad for Texas and other areas going through this dang Arctic weather right now. It's insane. Well, if you're joining us tonight, you're on one of our many outlets. If you're listening live right now, you're listening on Spreaker.com as well as KPNL.com, which you can find at KPNLDB.com. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Tumblr, YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, as well as Podcast Addict. We were trying out the Twitch and Facebook stream and still having difficulties with that, so we're working a little bit more on there to give you more outlets. So tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight we will be talking to and getting to know Big and Funky Productions. And Big and Funky is a wrestling tag team, paranormal investigators, movie makers, musicians, comedians, and Renaissance men known for their movie The Hike and television show series Wrestling with Ghosts. Funk Master V and Big Luke have been partners in the entertainment field for 7 years and are about to start their second movie and go on a whirlwind tour. Welcome by, guys, and thanks so much for coming on tonight. You got me with that whole bye thing earlier. Welcome, buys.
Welcome, buys.
Well, Luke said he wasn't bi, and that was a lie, so we had to call him out there. Or bio. What was the joke? I can't even remember. That bio made us sound a lot cooler than we actually are. If you saw exactly what I'm wearing from the waist down, you'd be pretty disappointed. But Luke and I've got good news.
You shaved your beard, which is new. I'm liking that. Well, I wonder why you shaved your beard.
Well, there's good news. But Tessa's got questions for us. We'll get into it. We got a long time to. And by the way, congratulations, Luke, from people in my family. There's some good news. I guess we'll lead off with this. Because this is, to me, I don't know if I've ever had anything I'm looking forward to as much as this. Now, about 5 years ago, in the first season of Wrestling with Ghosts, the twerp that we were associated with, the twerp that will not, the paranormal yarder that will not be named, he was a liar, and he told Luke and I that we were going to be Jesus and Judas at the Easter service at his mom's church. And I thought, that's the coolest damn thing I've ever heard of. I'd love to do that. And he lied. And I don't even know if his mom went to church. That's how big of a liar he is. But there was no service. But anyway, anybody out there who needs a Jesus and a Judas for your Easter Sunday, it's coming up here. Your service coming up. We will travel up to 250 miles to go do that.
Yeah, we'll have a full wrestling match at the end. Yes. I believe Jesus has to go over.
Jesus has to win in the end. But so that didn't pan out. But besides the stuff that Luke and I originated, I've done a lot of television acting, and Luke's done a little bit. And I got a lead role in an NBC show called Mark of a Killer this week. And it's the first time I've ever been a star of a TV production that I didn't create or Luke didn't create. And I've always been like the body or the guy that finds the body or the guy that they blamed in the beginning or I've played the bumbling cop a couple times. But this time I'm going to be the sniper in one of these things. And then Luke just on a whim says, I want to see if I can land that role. And you got it. And congratulations. And me and him, at least 2 days next week, I'm going to be shooting for 5 days. He's going to be shooting for 2. But we're going to be on NBC coming up, hopefully, in the next little bit. And what we're looking forward to is we get to go eat at some restaurants in Knoxville that we haven't eaten at in a while. So that'll be kind of neat to be over there. But what's your role? I don't even know I'm the sniper.
Well,
I'm the bad guy.
first of all, just a reminder that we tend to book all of our wrestling performances, conventions, and we're going to be touring our movie. We'll talk about that later. And we tend to book those around where the best places to eat are. So we're, Knoxville, we don't get out there much, even though it's only 30 miles away.
I go there all the damn time.
Yeah, I don't.
4 times this week.
I live in the mountains. It's a city. I don't want nothing to do with it. But no, I'm actually going to play the biker informant, and I think my name is like Ron Hudson or something
You're
like that.
You're a snitch.
I'm a snitch. Yeah.
Oh, you're playing an effing snitch. Oh, that breaks my heart.
And they had me
the car.
They had me do all sorts. I had to have my son take pictures of me in all different biker gear today. That probably didn't look weird through the windows.
Right? Come on, son.
But that's
weirder than that vampire movie where those weird redneck kids came out and started beating all over your trailer when we had to shoot that vampire movie up there this year. But
my poor neighbor Johnny just has to wonder what goes on over at down the hill a little bit. But yeah, I'm pretty excited because we've acted in our own stuff a lot. We've produced a ton of our own stuff, but we've never worked in a somebody else's production together. So that's gonna be pretty wild.
I can't tell you how. Ever since we were supposed to be Jesus and Judas, it's. I've been wanting to be in somebody else's production with you, just as actors, not as directors and writers and producers and all that bull crap. But it's going to be great.
Well, it's cool is we're not
already.
Yeah, we're not doing extra work. You're the featured actor in this, and I've got a bunch of lines. So
cool.
I mean, usually you get these things and you're just standing in the background. Like I drove all the way out to Nashville to do the TV show Nashville, and I ended up I did some acting scenes where I didn't say a word, but I ended up being a foot and a half taller than Hayden Panettiere, so they couldn't use me. And everything else was just standing around doing nothing. Oh, there's a little kid that just
come over here and say hi since you busted in after I told you.
There's got to be a new word for this. Is this podcast bombing? Radio bomb?
Yeah. It's been happening quite often within the last month.
Well, I hope you're excited. We're a couple of just middle-aged, goateed white guys. Yeah. I hope that was worth busting in the room for.
And
check it out.
Welcome to the bathroom of doom.
Big Luke.
Are you in the bathroom?
No, she's in the bathroom. The bathroom of doom over there.
Oh. Is Tessa in the bathroom?
Yeah, Tessa's in the bathroom of doom. That's her studio. It's you got it. I was going to make my studio up.
My studio's the shit, man.
Yeah. I've got this huge walk-in closet that I was going to soundproof and make my studio, but then I just decided to.
We got to put all your minks in there. Put your studio in there. You'd have to lay your minks on your bed.
Well, we also tried out for or auditioned this week for another much bigger role, and I don't know if we're allowed to even talk about it, but it's a TV show in Stars. So that's going to be, I think we have a pretty good odds of that, and that pays extremely well.
Yeah, and what was the name of the show that you guys were just...
What'd you say?
The name of the show that you guys were just talking about that you will be on?
Mark of a Killer. It's on NBC, Peacock, and Oxygen. So
nice.
Girl TV, man.
Yeah. Funkmaster V's the king of the Oxygen network, man. If you watch any show on Oxygen, he'll be a hairdresser and he'll be doing all sorts of
I need Discovery too. Yeah. Anytime there's a guy they need a goatee, because nobody since these like 90s shock jocks wear goatees. Nobody wears goatees no more. So when they do something from the 90s that involves a radio DJ or something,
I gotta put an addendum to that, because there's a lot of chubby guys from the South that still have goatees, but that's just to cover up the double chin.
That's why I do it. Asshole.
You weigh 190 pounds and you're 6 foot tall and you're covering up a double chin.
190? I haven't weighed 190 in forever. That'd be crazy. I'm at 200 now, though.
Well, good.
Lost some muscle mass. I got to bulk up.
Yeah, and during the winter, you got to store it in different places, right under the chin to keep you warm during the winter.
He usually keeps it in his penis. It's.
I need all the help I can get down there.
But we haven't talked to you in a while. We haven't talked to you in a while since we talked to you. Funk over there is not only is he a producer, director, actor, and pretty much general superhero of our movies. He is the editor, and he, after 4 months of tweaking and just not being, he'll take one individual thing and just spend 3 days on it fixing it. He's finally done fully with The Hike. And we've got preview copies that you can. We'll talk about that again later. How you can get preview copies of the movie. But he's finally done with it, and just as he was finishing up and thought he was done, they went back and told him that he has to do the closed captioning. So,
oh man,
so he has spent the last week coding closed captioning, which to me sounds like a living hell.
It sucked. But it's done now. So now, hopefully, there will be at least one deaf person that will watch The Hike and enjoy it.
I don't know. I'm thinking my kindergartner, who was just in here, she's reading at a 3rd grade level. I don't know.
Well, we wrote the script at a 3rd grade level, so that is. She's the target audience.
Well, she was out there reading. Yeah, she was reading Stephen King earlier, but I don't even remember where I was going with that now.
Stephen King a third?
Yeah, but I think that's part of why she is so good at reading, because it can't be me, homeschooling her. I think it's from watching TV and having the closed captioning on, and that just, I don't know, I think that helped. Or maybe she's just a freaking genius.
She's probably smart, because I've always heard that you learn Spanish by watching Telemundo, and I've watched a lot of Telemundo, and I can't retain jack squat. Yeah. No bueno.
I get distracted by the weather girls on Telemundo.
Ooh. Yeah. They'll get you in a mood. Not about the weather.
But yeah, we got all sorts of weird stuff. Like, we kind of didn't really give up on Wrestling with Ghosts, but we put it on the back burner, and now it looks like that might be back on. Somebody else is interested in beyond the typical, rigmarole. That's my word for the day. But the rigmarole of the production companies try to, just sign us and then put us on the shelf for 6 months. There's a purchaser out there that actually is interested in purchasing the show. So that's good. I kind of enjoyed, roaming around in dark buildings with my friends. So.
Didn't you say you had some questions for us?
Well, yeah, I was just about your hike, the Hike movie, which I have watched. I really loved and enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Since Luke brought it up that you finally finished editing on it, Luke, have you watched that? What are your thoughts compared to the first one that he put out that I've seen compared to the one that he's done after finally being finished, besides the captioning?
Well, he threw in a couple not extra scenes, but a couple like brush ups on and a little, the scenes will still play the same, but threw some added visuals in that I really dug.
I didn't talk to you about that.
Yeah, he cleaned up the fonts and everything and I think they look a lot better. The music, a lot of the stuff went into more of a stereo sound, and I watch the movie about once a month, and every time he's got a version, he's like, I'm finished, and then a month later, I'm finished, and then a month later. But I've watched every version. I've seen it in the theaters now, and I was watching it just a couple days ago, the final edit, the one that we're giving out with the GoFundMe, and again, when it got to the end, I was like, I can't believe that ending. I can't believe we made that movie, but Funk made it look and sound every time. There was a couple things he added. there's a couple things that were added that I really didn't like in post production. There was like a little purple smudge that would show up every time something happened, and I wasn't a fan of that little purple smudge. I thought it looked campy, and the movie flowed a lot better. Because when we first made the movie, it wasn't supposed to be a comedy. When we first wrote it and went out to the woods to film this thing, it wasn't supposed to be a comedy. So we kind of, all the jokes in there kind of happened on set, and so the setups, were a little bit, weren't right, but Funk got it down to where there's parts in a movie that I directed. And like I said, the editor is the genius of the thing. The director just points the camera and says, I need more of this, I need more of that. The editor is the absolute genius of the thing. But to have that movie roll, and I laughed out loud, like horse laughed about 5 times after this, of jokes that I was like, hey, do this. Or jokes that, Funk would come up with something on set, and you're like, that'll never work. And then it worked. Like when we were in the theater, the second time we watched it, the first time we watched it in the theater, people were laughing at parts that we didn't know were going to be funny. Like, and we didn't even plan them to be funny, but then they were just funny. And it got to the point where my dad, who has never supported me in the least or gone to, I've wrestled and played music for 30 years, and he has never gone to a wrestling or music show. He went to the movie, and he's going to have to watch it again because he missed about a third of the movie because he was laughing through some of the jokes. And but what I found beautiful with it, and how Vinny pieced it together and told the story, is it gets really real at the end. Like, it goes from a ha ha ha, yeah, this is, and then all of a sudden it's bam, it's real, and it hits you. And the way Funk with the music and the way the scenes cut, it leaves me in awe. I was like, I get done and I'm like, I cannot believe that is something that we did with a $7,000 camera in the middle of the woods with a bunch of our friends,
Well, I've done like me and you have done a lot of entertainment in our lives, and I'm not happy with hardly anything I've ever done. I've probably had 2 wrestling matches out of 1,000 that I liked. Out of all the wrestling with ghosts, there's probably 2 that ended up good. That I've made 4 albums. I like one of them. That's kind of how I am. I'm very critical.
Is that a starter check from a stripper? Was it that album?
No, that's just the title of an album I haven't written yet. Now somebody's going to steal it. The starter check from a hooker. It's a real life story behind that. But anyway, but the hike, the last 30 minutes of the hike, I can't believe. I'm happy with that. Like, I know when we were making the movie, we were kind of like, man, is this going to be is it going to look like a bunch of wrestling vignettes or skits from Saturday Night Live in the woods where we're just like, walk up to the camera, and Candy came up with some great ideas to make the scenes look different, and we implemented those. But when we got into the cave, and we filmed that day in the cave, and you fell on your ass and almost broke your back, that was a dangerous movie to make too. We almost
saved
all
the camera.
died.
I saved the camera. It didn't get dirty at all.
Yeah, you did great. I almost killed Candy with a rock. My legs were ripped apart. Travis fell and landed on an axe and cut himself. I mean, it was a dangerous movie to make. Luke fell in the cave, and then we fought on concrete for 4 hours, or gravel for 4 hours, and that didn't feel good. But anyway, when we got in that in the cave, that's when I kind of felt like this movie, it feels like a movie now instead of a bunch of weird skits in the woods. And I think, and then it got into the kind of the end of the movie. And I agree with you. I don't want to, we're trying to hype people up to watch this thing and our other movies and stuff that we do. And we don't want to toot our own horn, but it really is when I watch the end, every time I watch the end, I'm biting my fingernails, and it doesn't look like me and my friends. It looks like I'm watching a story that I'm invested in, and I think one of the reviews is they said the movie keeps getting better as it goes along, and I would agree with that. I think the last 30 minutes of the movie is really pretty. That's something I'm going to be proud of, no matter how many movies we make.
We've had 4 new people watch the movie because what we've got going on is there's a GoFundMe for our next film, WJHCAM. We can get you a link for that, or it's just go to either mine, Luke Walker, or
you go to GoFundMe. If you just go to GoFundMe and look up Big and Funky, it will pop up.
But if you donate $15 to our next movie, we will send you a YouTube link, a private YouTube link to watch The Hike. And I've had 4 people that have watched it, and people that I don't really even know. But I share the link, I wait 2 hours, and then I get the message back. And one kid actually said exactly what we've been saying, and I know this guy hasn't been listening to listening to us or talking, but he says, "Dude, that was if you took Clerks and Blair Witch and mixed it together, that's the movie." And that's exactly what we were going for. Was a little, Deliverance, Blair Witch, and Clerks just kind of mashed up.
Evil Dead.
A little Evil Dead. But I think it was funny. It was something I noticed when I was watching it. When I was watching it the other day, was I can tell what movie I was watching the day of or the day before we filmed shots. But before we went into the cave to film, I obviously watched 1917, because I was obsessed with these long single shot pictures, and one of those single shots made it into the film. And when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, we set that up. Oh, that looks fantastic." We set it up with the scene before, and we did it in one shot. I don't think we did a take 2 on that one because it was such a long. It's about a minute and a half.
We did one for safety. Yeah, you're right. We only did 2 takes on it.
But somebody does get hit in the head with a hatchet, and it's beautiful. It's like,
Hey, speaking of 1917, man, I want to see that again. I haven't seen it in about a year, but there's parts of that movie that just baffle me. Just how they move the camera, and you can do anything nowadays. There's so much technology, but there's times where it looks like they're filming for 30 straight minutes in one shot, and it's unbelievable. Have you ever seen it, Tessa? 1917.
It sounds familiar, but it's not ringing a bell.
It came out like last year, right before coronavirus hit. It was nominated last year for Best Picture. It didn't win, but there's a scene where they go through, in World War I, there was a trench called No Man's Land, and they come out of a bunker, they crawl through No Man's Land, they get to a farmhouse, they see 3 biplanes in a dogfight, and the British plane shoots the German plane out of the sky, and the German plane crash lands. They try to help the guy out because he's on fire. The guy ends up fighting them. It's all one shot. I mean, it's just like, how the hell? But yeah, long shots. Children of Men is another one that has some really good long shots in it. But
most of us are children of men.
Say what?
Most of us are children of men.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't think I have.
Oh, it's freaking amazing. It's Clive Owen, and that movie's that one's. It sounds like a romantic comedy or something, but it's a dystopian. There hasn't been a child born in 18 years, and somebody suddenly gets pregnant, and everybody wants to get the kid, and it's an action movie, dystopian future type thing.
Yeah, and like you're saying, with the movie industry and such, like getting those long shots, you just have to have everything planned out just perfectly to get that going.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say the reason we started a GoFundMe for this next film is because we were like, so many people wanted to see The Hike, and we didn't really have a way to do it and to get that to them because we were trying to get distribution. And the distribution deal we're working on now allows us to, do some previews like this and do the theatrical release is going to be our domain. So this is just, that's the deal we're working on for distribution is just for, streaming and physical copies. So one of the things that me and Funk are going to do, just me and Funk, is we're going to drive. We're going to get in the car. We're going to book a whole mess of movie theaters, just the small, mom and pop movie theaters. And we're going to take this movie, and apparently it's now, and this is where we got the idea to do it, but it's called Kevin Smithing. Kevin Smith did Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and he would take it he didn't want a major release. He took it to the theater and did a Q&A, and it made millions of dollars. It's the highest grossing per theater movie of all time. And we kind of want to do that. We want to we want to find out, like, Mobile, Alabama. A bunch of people want to see the movie of Mobile, so we're going to take it there. We've got just talked to a guy about doing a drive-in. Oh, man. Could you imagine watching that movie on a drive-in?
That'd be awesome.
It'd be amazing. Especially, I'd love to hear the cars honking at the jokes and that's another thing I'm really proud of with the movie is the jokes aren't forced. They're congruent. They flow with the thing. Because I was just watching a show over the last couple of days called Atypical about a kid with, it's on Netflix. It's about a kid with autism. And as somebody who has struggled with being just mildly on the spectrum my whole life, I was kind of the first season of it, the kid was an actor acting like he had autism. But then right at the beginning of the second season, he was in a room with a bunch of people, and they cast actors that really had autism. And from that point on, in the show, that actor learned what it was really like to have autism, what real people with autism were like. So it became better. And the first season, they shoehorned jokes in there, but then they figured out that after the first season, we can't shoehorn jokes. We have to let the jokes flow. I really looked at that show as like watching something we do, where it starts off, we have no idea what we're doing. We're just trying to find our niche. And then it gets better and better as we go. So it's going to be, or that's something that we've always said, even with Wrestling with Ghosts, because you start Wrestling with Ghosts and it's if you start at season 1, you're like, whew, this is a fun show, but it's difficult to watch. And then by the 5th episode, it's not difficult to watch. Then by the season 2, it looks like a professional production. By season 3, it is a professional production. And that's one thing I always liked is, and I always said is, follow this with us, grow with us, learn with us, because that's a good way to get invested. Now, we want to do a GoFundMe so people could be involved with WJHC. We've got tiers and everything that you can donate to. The first one's $15. You get a link to the movie. Second one's $25. We get you an 8x10 of the cast of Wrestling with Ghosts. It's autographed. But you get up into the higher ones, and you can get a speaking part in the movie. You can get an extra part. You can get a voice only. And, for $1,000, you can actually fully invest in the movie and be an executive producer where you get points in the back end. Because like right now we're looking to make decent money off the hike. And we have nobody that invested in the hike except for us. So, hey, we get all the money, but back end money doesn't roll in until, that's why it's a back end. It doesn't roll in until later. Was it Bobby Bonilla is still getting back end money from a deal he signed with the New York Mets in 1996. He's back end, but
well, I mean, this stuff's expensive. I found out this week. We've got to get E&O insurance, which is an error and emissions insurance.
That's the band that's saying "Don't Bring Me Down."
And they kind of want us to get general liability, and there's so much stuff. That's why we need help, is because it's, if you can donate to people trying to give artists and people who aren't professional a chance to make art entertainment and stuff, I mean, we would appreciate it, because it's not easy, and it's pimping ain't easy, and making movies ain't easy, and it's not cheap, man. There's always something, you gotta apply for copyrights. And it's always the government wanting more and more money, and we have to jump all through these hoops. Anytime you try to make a movie nowadays, the movie industry's in real bad shape right now. The one reason that we're going to start going to these theaters is these little theaters are dying. Mm-hmm. And bad news for people that like movies is, 18 days you can change a habit. Well, people haven't been going to movies in a year. People are not going to go to movies anymore because it's all going to be streaming and stuff. So these places like Disney and HBO, they control the movie theaters. You may think mom and pop owns it, but it's almost like a mafia type thing. And they tell you what to play, when to play it. They make you carry movies you don't necessarily want to. If you want the Avengers, you've got to carry these 3 crap movies that nobody wants to see. And so there's now they're going to cut out movie theaters as the middleman. They're going to make all that money on their streaming services. So if you owned a theater, you're looking for anything, and that's kind of what we're going to try to. It's called four-walling. We love Kevin Smith, and it's entitled. There's a nickname for that too, or another pseudonym. But four-walling is what we're going to do, and that's basically in Luke. And this is what's funny is that's what we were going to do in the beginning, and then because we didn't think the hype was going to be any good. It was our first movie, and we knew that we were going to make a lot of technical mistakes, but when we got done with it, we were like, God, that's pretty damn good, man. So,
what happened? What?
Oops.
Well, shit.
So we're still going to four-wall it because it's guaranteed. We haven't made any money on distribution yet. There's all these people saying great things to us right now, but we don't know if it's ever going to. I mean, me and Luke have been lied to a million times in the entertainment business, but us going out and going to a small town and getting on the radio and doing Q&As and getting in the newspaper and promoting it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, me and Luke enjoy road trips. That's one reason I miss wrestling with Ghosts is because we were traveling all over the South and the Midwest and the East Coast doing the show. And the reason I liked wrestling when Luke and I were tag team partners, we would travel more than I ever have. And it was basically because we could eat at great restaurants and see new things. So this is going to be kind of cool. I like little towns too. I always think little towns are interesting because there's like a little downtown area, and you're like, this town even still got a pool hall, and it's like they got a sushi restaurant in a town with 1,200 people. Who eats this? So
the
there's
cool
always
thing
these
about,
little stories.
The cool thing about where we got to a point with wrestling as a tag team is we get a phone call and be like, wait a minute, you're going to pay us $250 to come down to Dunghole, Georgia, and you're not telling us what you need us to do. You're just saying, come on down, get in a match, talk. And if most people have never seen a big and funky match. It's mostly us on the way down there coming up with a dumb idea and making an entire match out of it while making fun of the crowd for 15 minutes. Like Vinny forgot his shoe one time, he packed the wrong shoes or boots. He has like 4 pairs of wrestling boots. Got left out. That was very weird. Yeah, he has 4 pairs of wrestling boots, and he brought a red one and a blue one, but they were both left shoes.
They were all left shoes.
So the whole match, he couldn't walk straight. He kept veering off to the left, and we made an entire match about him veering to the left.
And with 2 left shoes, I kept walking in circles, and so the whole time I'm fighting, walking in circles, and couldn't tag him. And
he's trying to take it. So a guy from the crowd yells, "Well, why don't you just take your damn shoe off?" so that turned into the next 7 minutes of Funk getting beat up in the ring while because he keeps trying to take his shoe off. So he ends up pinning the guy. One of the guys were wrestling, and at the same exact moment, like magic happened in the wind, his shoe came off. And
right when he goes 1, 2, 3, shoot, my boot finally came off. It was that was almost like a movie. I mean, that was because I was trying to get it off the entire match. I couldn't.
And then we didn't celebrate the victory. We celebrated him getting his shoe off.
I got my shoe off.
He did it.
Yeah, man. So
and I'm like, and you paid us $200 for that. What? That was so much fun. But now we're old men. We're both 45, 46 years old. We can't do
that shit. Why are you telling people how old we are? Stop that.
Well, I mean, if they just go to your Facebook and take a look at you, man, they know you're old. Not me. I don't put up current pictures anymore. I'm still sexy as shit. Yeah, you're the one with the gray beard and.
Look at me. What are you talking about? They have just for men. You know, I mean that stuff can get fixed.
I do.
What were you going to say?
No,
let her talk. Okay, let her ask. It's her show.
Let's get off the gray.
I don't care about that, but let her talk.
Well, I was just because Luke had said something about movie theaters, and with COVID and the way it is, you know, nobody's going to theaters anymore. And I had actually talked to my old man about a business venture opening up drive-in movie theaters. I know a lot of them have been closed down and nobody does that anymore, but with COVID in the mix there, I mean, that'd be awesome. Have you guys thought about checking that out along the way?
I think me and my wife always wanted to open up a movie theater. I think it would be great. I don't know what the legal man, me and Julie like going to the movies. You know, we have a TV in our house. It's almost as big as a movie theater screen. There's no reason for us to ever go to the movies, but there is something about going to a theater, seeing it, you know, all the glitz and the glam and the lights and getting the expensive ass food and sitting down and watching a movie together. And I think that's something we're going to miss as a society. I mean, you can sit here and watch 8 million movies at home. There's no reason to do it, but it's still fun, and that's one of her favorite things. I remember when we were poor, man, and our air conditioner went out and we couldn't afford to fix it. When it was the heat of the day, like 2 o'clock, we go to the effing movie theater, man, just for the air conditioning, because it's always like 20 degrees in there. So we always wanted to open up a grindhouse that would be 24/7, and just like at 4 a.m, you go watch Kung Fu or some terrible ass movie from the 40s. But it's going to be real interesting to see if movie theaters ever make a comeback. I was talking to her tonight. I think probably what's going to happen is you're going to have like one theater in a town, and it's going to be like an old, or you may have like one that shows the features, and you'll have another one that shows like what I was saying, like something like Coffee, and the next movie will be Jaws 3 or something like that, you know. And but I think movie theaters are going to be done.
Well, yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with something you said earlier with like Sony and HBO and Disney are, you know, during COVID right now, like small businesses are getting are getting closed down while, you know, Walmart and Target and Amazon are doing fantastic. The movie industry is getting a lot like that, and we have a lot of, you know, we know a lot of behind the scenes people and. You know, just name dropping. We know a lot of people. Yeah, it's us. But they are trying to basically get rid of independent movie makers. They want to control all the money, all the movies. Amazon with this new thing they just did where they're not buying documentaries or short films anymore. That they just killed hundreds of small-time documentary makers that are making important documentaries that will not be bought. And
just to interject, that affected us because the guy that is helping us now pitch Wrestling with Ghosts, The Hike, and our new movie we're making, he had to stop working with us because 3 of his documentaries that were in the can, he said were fantastic, and now Amazon's not going to buy them. And that was his main source of income. So when we were talking to all these people trying to get The Hike distributed, every month there was more bad news. Hollywood is in chaos, and I know a lot of people don't care, especially like conservative people. They're like, screw Hollywood, but I mean, it trickles down. So if Hollywood's in trouble, it trickles down to people who are just trying to make art, documentaries, like what Luke said. I mean, there's no such thing as investigative journalism on the news anymore. So we rely on documentaries to kind of shed the light on important things going on, and that's going to be another gimmick.
And Netflix is zoning out independent filmmakers because basically they keep changing their specs every month.
Yep.
And making it more difficult and more expensive to where we couldn't make a movie, even if it was we made the best movie ever. And we could do it ourselves for $25,000. If we wanted to meet Netflix specs, it would cost $2 million. So basically, you're not going to be, and then you get all the equipment together, you make a movie, and you go with all the specs that Netflix or Hulu needs, and the movie's done, the movie's in the can, the movie's ready to go. Then they change their specs and they say they won't. We can't use your movie.
They have technology now where they can look at the code of your camera. They can look at the film. They can look at your movie or whatever you make, documentary, and they can tell you exactly what camera you used by just looking at the numbers and shit. It's like the Matrix.
Yeah, the dumbest.
They require Netflix, like he's talking about. They require these cameras that are called Red cameras, and they're $28,000 just for a camera or whatever. Not even talking about the lenses. Lenses are crazy.
The lenses cost as much as the camera. But and then they've got this new stupid thing with they're messing with making it almost impossible to do sound. If you have a bird chirp at 48 minutes into your movie, it has to be its own individual sound file. That's the length of the movie. Every single sound has to be its own file. And it's like, independent filmmakers don't have enough time to do that. It's not going to happen.
If you make one mistake, your movie's sunk, and that's kind of what they want. They want to make this minefield where people just make a mistake and then they botch their movie.
And my theory on the whole thing is there's a lot of people out there that don't need $25 million to make a great movie. You don't need more than $25,000 to tell a great story.
Well, I think that's what is going to happen, Luke, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Because if you watch a lot of movies now, there are these weird dystopian things with like 4 actors, and there's a lot of silence and stuff in the movie. I just watched one with Peter Dinklage the other day, and it was not good. He was a librarian. It was dystopian future. Paul Giamatti was in it. It was weird. But because they're not going to be able to charge premium ticket prices at the movies, they're going to have to release this stuff on your $8.99 a month streaming services. So they're going to have to go back to storytelling. Independent filmmakers don't have the big budget to have, Aquaman versus Captain America. So we do independent film and storytelling. So they got to weed out the competition, I think, so they can make these very simple movies and focus on story, because there'll be too much competition if it's just, nobody can make a Marvel movie except, Disney or Star Wars. It's just too much money.
Even DC can't make a good movie. Right. But no, I watched this terrible movie the other day, and it was Nick Cage was in it, and it just came out, and it was like apparently they couldn't get the rights to Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a video game about demon animatronics in like an old Showbiz Pizza, Chuck E. Cheese type place. But Nicolas Cage did this movie. There's maybe 5 actors in the whole movie. Nicolas Cage doesn't say a single word through the whole thing. This movie sucked, and I loved every second of it. I couldn't have been more entertained by because again, it was one of those you're just like it was so campy and dumb that I loved it. And that's what's going to have to happen is every movie's going to have to be different. You're not going to be able to tell just a basic dumb story anymore, because movies got to be just basic dumb stories. Some of the best movies of 2020 that won, or 2019 that won awards, like everyone was freaking out over that Korean movie. I can't remember the name of it. It won for Best Picture, and I watched it and I was like, that was a piece of shit. There was, Little Women, the 18th, redo of Little Women was up for Best Picture. I'm like, God, can't we do something new? Can't we tell our own stories? I'm not trying to, blow my own butt here, but yeah, I am. But I have got I've got 5 scripts wrote that are unique and that aren't rehashed stories. They aren't, they are unique in, thought-provoking, layered stories. And then I watched Bird Bath or whatever that movie was with Sandra Bullock in it. And everybody loved that movie. And I'm like, that movie sucked ass.
No, it didn't. That was good.
No, that movie sucked.
No,
you have bad taste.
Hey, man, it worked. Made more money than you.
Well, and everybody's watching these Conjuring movies and Annabelle doll movies, and I'm like, those things are terrible.
The first Conjuring was good.
Yeah, they've got no layers.
The Nun is not good, and the Annabelle movies aren't that great.
Yeah, there's no layers. There's nothing that provokes thought. There's nothing that provokes. You can't empathize with any characters. You can't sympathize. I'm like, who's giving these people $25 million to make a movie about a haunted doll? And
it creeps people out. The thing about horror movies, and Luke and I agree with this, is that I think they struggle sometimes because I think Hollywood always plays it safe because they're always trying to make the most money. And I think they've got these niches where it's all about shock value, jump scares, playing on these tropes that are proven to make money. And why not make a horror movie where the characters are likable and real? I think there's a quote that says the best horror movies are like you're watching another type of movie, some other genre, and then something horrible happens. And then it becomes a horror movie. Like you're watching a comedy and it becomes a horror. You're watching a romantic, like a rom-com, and it becomes a horror. Those are the best horror movies, is when there's a paradigm shift, I think. And that was the initial idea that we wanted to do when presenting The Hike was every movie is a bunch of teenagers stuck out in the woods. That's true.
What would happen if a bunch of 40-year-old knuckleheads were stuck out in the woods?
30.
Just because Candy and Travis are in their 30s. Yeah,
30 something. You got to work on this. You got to work on the pitch, man.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the Star Wars Disney learned this lesson is like they were when they made the prequels, even George Lucas made this problem, is he said he tried to make them for kids, for the next generation of Star Wars fans. And they failed. They were miserable movies because he was trying to make them for kids when the Star Wars fans were now 35 years. They realized, we've got to actually make movies for the fans, the 30, that are now in their 40s. We got to make movies for those guys. Transformers did the same thing. They made Transformer movies for kids who did not watch the Transformers cartoons. Transformers fans were 10 to 15 years old in 1986. You got to make, and horror movie fans same way. These kids, these damn kids today, they don't know what a real horror movie is. They've never sat and watched Hellraiser. They've never watched, I Spit on Your Grave and these just gross cannibal Holocaust movies. They only know these homogenized horror, what they call horror movies that aren't scary, aren't disgusting, they don't play on your emotions at all. Like ours, we had we took this movie, and one of the theories from Wrestling with Ghosts was the best way to scare somebody is to have them laughing and then scare them, is to run through a gamut of emotions, or have them, have a sexy, have them be horny and then kill somebody. You want to.
We did that in Wrestling with Ghosts.
Yeah, man. Every time I'm on the screen, everybody's horny, and you come in there and kill the mood. You killed it.
Oh, killed the mood. Okay. Oh, man. I was like, you must have drugged me in or something.
The Asai TV that Wrestling with Ghost airs on right now is putting February together, and the episode that they played out was the first episode of season 3 they threw out there, and it's called Hellraiser, and it's done at the Hales Bar Dam.
That's the last episode of season 2, by the way.
Oh, last episode of season 2, and I thought I was trying to sit there and write a synapse to, get people to watch it. And I'm like, oh, what did we do in this? Oh, yeah. C-Funk Master V and Big Luke pee on a ghost.
I think it should be, we didn't piss off a ghost. We peed on a ghost, which is what happened. It was pretty wild.
Yeah. Because Wrestling with Ghosts has got some, we don't describe it. Everybody, it seems that Paranormal Investigates now learned how to do it off of TV. And we were like, well, let's just do our own thing. Let's not do it like that. Let's not wear the tight black T-shirts and the hair gel and the walk around and, some type of ritual happened here. Some type of satanic ritual. It's a portal to hell. We weren't going to do that. And if we do that, we have an episode where a portal to hell exists that's sitting in the can. And I don't know if we can release it because we might get, the guy whose house we went to might come.
What are you talking about? You're just rambling. Let her ask a question. I can't. I'm with you. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I was talking about your mother.
Hey, easy. What are you talking about? We're talking about movies now and Wrestling with Ghosts, and now we're talking about the thing that you can't show. Because we were in a porthole in a toilet. What were you talking about? You drinking? I thought so.
Well, I remember that scene from Wrestling with Ghosts where, you had pee, so you went in and peed on a drain, but I didn't realize you peed on a ghost.
If you saw that was the one, that's one where it was weird. It was Hell's Bar Dam, and I don't know how they college football or something. It's the most haunted dam in the world, and the third most haunted structure in the United States, most haunted thing in Tennessee, whatever. I don't know. So, but we were with a bunch of people in that episode. We normally don't tag team with a lot of people, but we were with some Canadians and some people out of Ohio, God bless their heart, and they were talking about Wendigos. And I was like, oh, you came down in a Class C motor home? They were like, no, it's almost like Michael Scott from The Office describing something. It's like the head of a head of a stag, body of a man, and the legs of a goat, and they shape shift, and you're like, the spirits of these things are here. And it just so happened, I don't know if weeks before, but Luke, somebody gave him, it's basically a Mongolian version of the Magic 8 Ball, where you roll these goat ankles, and the way the ankle fall, you ask it a question, like you shake it up like an 8 ball. Am I going to touch so-and-so's boobs? It says doesn't look good, or ask me tomorrow, or whatever. But it's the same stuff. You roll these goat ankles, and you look up the chart, like they all land certain ways. And, okay, this means, happy or whatever. So we were playing that right where they said these Wendigos were that had goat ankles. And we were rolling goat ankles. And so I go in this room to pee, and I swear to God, man. Come back out, tell Luke.
He
Luke
pees
goes
weird.
Back. He pees in the same spot. It's like something is irritated. That's what made me think about the paranormal stuff too. Like, I always think, instead of these things being dead creatures, I think what we're really dealing with are things in other dimensions, or in things we can't perceive in our dimension. So what if this that's his living room, and he's got a bowl of popcorn watching the movies, and I just walk in there and I just urinate in his bowl of popcorn or whatever. I don't know. In my perception, it's like an abandoned dam that's wet, but in his perception, it could be I just pissed on his dinner. I don't know. So it was pretty wild. That sounded like scripted stuff. That's kind of the fun stuff about our show is so much stuff. We're not smart enough to write that crap. So that was just a lot of fun. Silly.
So silly. Well, on that note, you guys, we are going to go to our first music break. For those of you listening, if you don't like reggae or music as such...
The Die! Oh, sorry.
The Die. You're going to have about 15 minutes, so make sure you set that timer so you don't miss the rest of the show. But we have King Cinnamon from Biafra, Nigeria with LA Emo Edarella, I can never say this one correctly. Hosni Bronx, he's actually originally from Jamaica, but also hails from the Bronx of New York with Dance as a Lion. He's also got some members from Bob Marley and the Wailers in there. And then King Cinnamon again with Fantastic. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break.
Beautiful.
We swap on the beat.
Kanyi kele Chineke makwa na limo mbunde njemono. Kanyi kele onye wuwa imakwa na limo mbunde njemono. Alimo, Alime Kerelo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo State, Alime Kerelo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo State, Alime Kerelo, Alime Kerelo, Democracy Kerelo, Ndime Kerelo, Alime Kerelo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo State, Alime Kerelo, Alime Kerelo, Democracy Kerelo. Ndime Meriela, Emegamara, making head young. Ebere Marama, Open Marama, Yes Lady Marama, Her Excellency, Emeka, your hammer, Emeka, hit your hammer, Omenga, Urania, need your hammer, Omenga, Urania, Emeka, make him body mouth, Emeka, make him body mouth. Emeka put down no boy. Oh yeah. Wa wulenu. Emeka put down no boy. O come adima. We me wan potro. Emeka make him modima. Emeka make him modima. Ndem jejemba. Mwan jejemba. Ndem jemano. Deputy Governor Mo State Chilike. Gerard Ronna Karaka, Wokoma Dima, Porabo, Deputy Governor, Willie Deregima, Alukuta Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Onya Jemono, Stanley Wamuche Karaka, Stanley Onya Babamba, President Good Life Foundation, Shirike, President General, Senate Group of Companies, President General. Financial matter Karaka, Alo were Deregima, Alambise Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Onya Jemono, Frankie Nate Shiriko, Pepe Arabido Hotels, ABC Transport Karaka, Alo were Deregima, Alambise Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Uchonya go chande, Honorable Wokoma Dima, Onye Horo Nyakeleli Yao, Mawugi, Ginando Tugio, Mawunule, Njigari Chinala, Imo State, Mawugi, Ginando Tugio, Mawunule. Zonala, Imo State, Alo were Deregima, Alo were Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, the German, Orange Drugs Limited, Jisa Anthony Ifani Chubundu Business and Ishirike, Ikenga Dichele, pride of his people, most outstanding one, Okoma Marama, Iborabo. Alo were Deregima, Alijato Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Honorable Jobagu Shirike, Honorable Bina Shirike, Jerala Bosa Shirike, Tochuko Kereke Shirike, Okahu Shirike, Injina Benina Shirike, Onyamana Construction, Wokoma Dema Ikaraka, Onya Shiwole Heborani. Mu Imarama, Wokoma de Jembo, Wokoma de Maikaraka, Quiz Popule, Ibo Felamo, Onyomana Pito, Akana Kompa, Ikaraka, Eziwa Mama, Mr. Ludiriwa, Wokome de Jemba, CEO Elizabeth Ventures, Ikaraka, Democracy emeriela o. Ndị ime emeriela o. Democracy emeriela o. Ndị ime emeriela o. Alime derelo, Alime derelo. Thank God I'm from Imo State. Emeka has come to rejuvenate. Imo State, make you jubilate, make you celebrate. Emeka shipwen be say, this one no be say them say. Emeka has come to rejuvenate. Imo State, celebrate, make you jubilate. Ala mekele His Excellency Achikudenwa. Mekele kwa His Excellency Dr. Hakim. Yemaka Right Honorable PDK. Nekelekwa Right Honorable Jones Oyereri. Ana mekele Senator Onyebuchi Mr. Empowerment. Nekelekwa Right Honorable Emeka Chinedu. Umo mimo lowali bia meziena Alimo. Alima Adelama.
Cliffito.
Why Babylon, you
and the word people in love. People in love. People in love. People in love. Yeah. Humanity, protect humanity. We have to save people from poverty. We don't want your frustration. We don't want your ambush, Babylon.
We swap on speed.
She like my water bam bam. King Cinnamon. Oh shit, baddest. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's ball, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's ball, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Gucci brother, baby, gather something. Come on closer, baby, gather 19. I know you better, but I am the king. Your backside bigger than Bombay. Baby girl, broncotum. I like the way you wind your broncotum. Baby girl, broncotum. I like the way you wind your broncotum. Jamaica, Ghana, shout out to the ladies in Asia, Nigeria, South Africa. Say me love you. Please me, baby. Yeah. Turn up from you. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Give me love, give me love. Show me love, show me love. Oh, give me love, give me love. Me want you, me love you. Give me love, give me love. Oh, give me love, give me love. Hey, please me, baby. Oh. Yeah, turn up from you. Yeah, take your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's ball, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Shake your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's ball, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. King Cinnamon. You know what I'm saying?
We swap on the mix. Lift it all.
Welcome back, you guys, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we're joined by Vinnie V, Funk Master V, as well as Big Luke Walker. Welcome back, guys.
Well, see, it's the Rockies versus the Smokies. We're over here in the Smoky Mountains, as you people call them, the Little Hills. If you've never like people in the Rocky Mountains, when they come out and see the Smokies, they get weirded out because they're so small. But I got to tell you, there's nothing like people that live in the Smokies that go out to see the Rockies and go, these are what the those are some big ass mountains you guys got out there.
Well, it's funny because my niece, she's very sweet, but she was living with us for a little while, and she's like, you guys ain't got mountains out here. That's what my teacher said. There ain't no mountains in Colorado. And I was like, well, I don't know who taught you, sister, but these are the Rockies. Some teacher in Arkansas that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, I guess. I'm not sure.
That sounds about right. A teacher in Arkansas probably doesn't know anything about mountains.
Or words or numbers or history or angles.
They misspell talking there. They're like, you have to autocorrect their word. When they're speaking, you have to. No, that's not the correct word.
That's not how.
Hey, we actually we'll talk about this. That's a good segue. So, ran into or met through one of in the hike. The redhead in the beginning is a lady named Kirby.
The one that shows her boobies.
Yes. Spoiler alert. It's like coffee.
Spoiler alert. Selling point.
Right. But anyway, she's an actress and she's done her thing for years, and she has put the feeler out for some Arkansas people. She thought it'd be better to kind of widen our region to have different actors from different areas. And just luckily, there's this lady named Amy Hale, who's a disc jockey, a comedian. She's actually from Wisconsin, and she was in an improv group that was trained by Second City, which is kind of like, that's like the main improv group. It's where Eugene Levy and Martin Short and Catherine O'Hara and John Candy, all them guys came from. Joe Flaherty and
the legends.
Yeah, Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas. All them came from Second City, and she studied under not those particular people, but other the group that lives on. And real funny chick. And we've got in the next movie. There's going to be one of those. It's going to be a difficult scene to watch for some people, and she's all about it, man. And she's gonna do this role. You have to be a real champion to do this.
Oh, is she doing that?
Yeah, she's doing that. Well, it was funny. I talked to her on the phone the other day, and I said, there's a role, and it's got some, I don't know if I can find somebody who can do this. It's based on a true story. She was mortified. I was going to ask her to get naked. And then when she found out that it was just that, so it was kind of one of those selling points where you start up here, then you bring it down. And she was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Dude.
She don't want to show her boobs or nothing. But she's going to do a difficult thing, and my wife, it's funny, my wife's like, I don't like that scene in the movie. And I said, well, it's going in there because that happened to me. And this is basically the next movie we're doing is called WJHC AM, and it's based on it's true story. Most of it in the beginning is true story, a lot like The Hike. The Hike is based on a lot of true stories. Me and Luke have crazy lives, so these things that happen to us are crazier than what we could write. And Luke's a pretty creative guy, but still some of these stories are pretty unique. So this is when I tried to get into radio. I love radio. I miss it. It just doesn't pay enough. But when I first started coming out, it was when I first was trying to get into radio, the only place that would hire me after I got fired from my first job in radio was this really backwoods Southern gospel radio station. And I did not get along with them. I had a trendy haircut and I wore ironic shirts and I had jeans that looked like they didn't fit, back in the 90s. And all these people looked like they basically were selling livestock at a flea market. I mean, they would come dressed to work. And like my boss was a station manager named Nancy. And she's dead now. But I tried to kill her, actually. I put sugar in her coffee filter at work. She was diabetic, but she was the type of lady. Yeah, it got pretty weird there.
Is that how you got fired?
I'm saying. Huh?
Is that how you got fired, or what?
No, I didn't get fired from that one. I quit this job.
Oh.
But I got fired from another job. But anyway, I overslept turning the radio station on by about 5 hours. That was a bad deal. But on this one, me and her didn't like each other. She was the type of woman that would chain smoke and just she would smoke angrily. But so this movie is kind of like the stories of me dealing with these fundamental religious folks, and a lot of them are very sweet. It's very sweet. And we're not going to. This is not a movie where we make fun of religion, but we do make fun. We are going to poke fun at certain elements of people who get involved in my opinion, of people that get involved in religion, and it starts to be counterproductive. Instead of freeing them or making them better people, it adds chains and makes them really weird people. And so I saw a lot of that. So this movie is me being in radio, dealing with these types of people, trying to just get a job, and so I can build a resume so I can go work at a rock and roll or a hip hop station. And so I'm enduring this. So, and then the movie is going to transform. The question of the movie is, what will happen if on my night shift Y2K happened and that coincided with the return of Christ? And so it's going to, the rapture. And so that's when, the apocalypse, a lot of people think the apocalypse will begin immediately. My character will not be one of the lucky lottery ticket holders to go up through the ceiling with the Lord. So I'm going to have to stay on the ground and fight for my life as kind of the world turns to shit. So we think it's an interesting premise, and there's going to be a lot of stuff like The Hike, where there's going to be some humor that's going to be coming from like Luke and mine's history, things that really happened. So it is going to be another comedy horror, because I think Luke basically decided we can't do horror without we can't do a serious movie, at least not yet. We're going to probably try one down the road, but and again, we're going to try to get you in the feels and get you on a little roller coaster like we were with The Hike. And I think back in November, my wife and Candy and Travis and Luke and myself wrote The Spine. Christopher Guest calls it The Spine, when you just basically you don't write the script, but you write the idea. And we all pretty much think it's going to be a better movie than The Hike, and we're pretty good. So hopefully we follow through and things work out.
The nudity in this one is going to be so much more gratifying than the nudity in The Hike. Because
where did you go there, man?
Somebody that's talking right now that isn't me is going to be naked for about 25% of the movie.
Wow.
And it's you. It's not Vinny. It's you. I didn't know if you knew you were casted.
What a pleasant surprise. I feel bad for everyone.
But yeah, man, I think this one's going to be good, and the person that's helping us with the Hollywood Bull crap is he thinks it's good. The cool thing about that is, I didn't tell Luke this, but he thinks Candy's hot, so that's going to be.
Does he know that she's 6 months pregnant?
Oh,
very hot.
If you're into that, I don't know. You do need to see the Lord. I don't know. There's some people into that. I can't.
Well,
I
it's
don't
very hot
understand
as
that.
far as temperature. Your body temperature is raised because you're producing a little
Hot
one
flash.
in there. Hot flashes, hot temper, hot whatever going on.
It's kind of cool in how things work out. We want Candy is. We were looking for, and it was weird that we found a girl named Candy, because with Wrestling with Ghosts, we were always looking for somebody that was female eye candy, because you can't just have me and Travis and Vinny just being the male eye candy all day. But we were looking for somebody that was serviceable as a talent and eye candy. Then we met Katie Thompson, who is on the level intellectually and comedically with us, and creatively she's got ideas that outpace us. So it was great to find her to be, it wasn't really a question. She was almost, it's hard to break into Big and Funky or me and Vinny. Travis fits in well because he plays the lovable Rube. And in life, he is the lovable rube to us. He's just
I would call him a rube, but yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a hapless young man. But Candy came in and was almost immediately number 4. And we tried a lot of number 4s out, and she really came in and hit a home run. And then she went and her and her husband are expecting the 3rd child, which is a fantastic thing. But selfishly, it kind of puts a damper on what we were going to do with her. But it also then gave us an opportunity to search out for some other actresses, and we have found. Like, me and Funk went to a wrestling show to do commentary that was, we called it brutally honest commentary at a wrestling show, and we were so brutally honest that you will never see that. We were going to make a TV show out of it. We went too far. I went too far. But while we were there, we're looking at, one of the guys, or a couple of the guys that are on in the movie, actually one guy, it was just Hack, was on the, it was his wrestling promotion, but there was a female there that we did, she's obviously an attractive girl, but it was more than that. We both saw her and like, wow, she has a definite presence. So we're going to try working with her. We're going to give her a shot in a small role in the next film. There's another girl that we know named Libby. That's, somebody else with a presence. And it just turned out when I reached out to these girls to see if they wanted to try out, and they both had acting experience. So, it gives us an opportunity, with her being pregnant, it gives us an opportunity to broaden our production team, to broaden our troupe, because we don't want to do this so much with hands. We want to have our own troupe that kind of is in every movie.
Right.
Funk brought along this guy for the hike named Billy Marshall. Billy Parrott is his real name, but everybody knows him as Billy Marshall, as a wrestler. And I was a little hesitant about using him because he's kind of dopey, I guess is the best word you could put it, but he's a genius. He's a dopey genius. But then when you get to know him, you realize that he's not dopey at all. He's just a laid back happy dude. He played the Forest Ranger, and as soon as anybody that's seen the movie that saw the Forest Ranger scene, as soon as I saw him through the camera that I'm holding and filming him, I'm like, this guy is in everything. This is the guy. This guy is got it on camera that you don't know that he has in real life. Now, Funk knew he had it on camera because they did a TV show for years together, like a call-in wrestling show where they did all sorts of crazy. Your little crazy antics, like morning zoo type stuff. But I want to, it's fun to find people like Billy, like hopefully Libby and the other girl, and even Hack, our buddy Michael that play, Hack and Michael actually play 3 different roles in the hike, and nobody knows it. But they are. I think Michael had the least takes of anybody as far as having to, redo stuff. That's something you can't teach. He was one take and nailed it every time. So right. It's cool to when I'll tell you a quick story about the beginning of the hike. The movie, if you watch it, there's a really cool about 3-minute intro before the movie starts, or before like the credits roll for the movie. And it was supposed to be completely different. It was supposed to be, it was supposed to be almost 10 minutes long, completely different thing. And we had an actress, 2 actresses and an actor booked. Well, then the actor had to back out, so we replaced him. And there's actually supposed to be Michael in that, but he had to back out for that one day. We couldn't do it. Well, then one of the actresses back out. Well, the other actress was Kirby, and she came all the way in from Arkansas to be in the movie. The other actress backed out. So we then got with another actress, and she backed out while driving to the set.
What?
So we had to completely we rewrote the intro to that movie, that scene that you see. We rewrote that in about 5 minutes in my backyard standing next to my grill. And
that's the only time in my life I've ever seen you flustered like that.
But it worked. And I think we sometimes do our best when we're facing adversity. When things go wrong, it's kind of like that's when, when we have to make quick decisions, because I screwed up. We could have actually filmed the scene as I wanted to, because I was like, well, Michael can't be here Saturday night. He can't be here tonight. Oh, well, we could have done it Sunday night. But instead, I just wanted to get it done Saturday night, but we rewrote the whole thing. And even what we rewrote, we filmed, and that's not what you see on the screen because it plays backwards. So it's I think, when we have things like, Candy getting pregnant, which is a beautiful thing I'm so excited for, but it, throws a wrench into the system, but it led us to other opportunities and other people. And of course, when the baby's born and she's ready to go, Candy it's not like she has to reapply for a job. She's number 4, she's the 4th member. She's, probably infinitely more valuable than me or Travis.
I would say that, but Candy is not just a pretty face or halfway decent. She came up with a lot of things that help make the movie look good too. She's like coming up with the idea of starting the shot off, like with starting a scene instead of just showing people. This is what I was afraid of, just us being like, hello, like the beer scene and the hike, getting a close up on opening the beer can and lots of stuff like that, different angles. And she's also the one that came up with the continuity problem of, we filmed some things out of order and she had a bracelet on in some of it, and the other one she didn't have a bracelet on. And then so she came up with the idea of, the bracelet will break, in a scene. We found the right spot where the bracelet broke, but then her acting in that scene. Shut up, Kat. Is that my house? I think.
It's not here. Hello, meow.
Her bracelet breaking, the scene that she does it, her acting endears me to her so much. Just the way she goes, oh, my bracelet broke. And then Funk comes in with a dick line. And, but just her acting in that. And actually the way it was shot, it's the scene that really first endears me to Candy in the movie. She did good in that scene. She really did.
Yeah, you guys had to know she was a perfect fit when you first met her, and she allowed you to have your way with her little flippy floppy blow up dude.
That's true. That's what's weird, I told you that last time, that I don't remember what she looked like at all. And then I befriended her because I was wanting to let her see the video that we did at her work. We did a comedy video about the flaily arm man that is always out at advertising or whatever, and nobody knows what those things are called. And that's basically what the skit was about. And it ended up with Travis dry humping the thing, and she thought it was cool.
With what a trooper to do that right in the middle of the parkway of Pigeon Forge.
That's why Travis is on the team. Go hump that inflatable flaily arm guy. But I didn't remember what she looked like, and then when we got on Facebook, I just messaged Travis. I was like, was that girl hot? This girl is smoking hot. And Candy, when it's time to look good, she knows how to do it. She can put on the makeup, and she can totally girl out and totally look stunning. And it's good to have. It's good. You got to have girls on the team, or you're just gonna struggle.
Well, and what I
bunch of smelly dudes.
Well, what I do like about another thing I do like about the movie with us and her is we are, we're not Hollywood A-list model actors, and we still pull off looking pretty damn good. Like Candy, Vinny takes his shirt off at one point, and he's still, there's a scene at night where he runs out of a tent, and he looks fucking buff as hell. I'm like.
He was going to mess up that thing.
Yeah, we're not sexy guys. Well, we are, but we're not like, we're Hollywood 5s, but we're Gatlinburg 8s. But our flaws, I think, kind of make us, and with her, any flaws in her appearance is better.
I think there's, I don't know how much we should go into this, but I mean, there was a part of the movie she didn't like how she looked. And I said, there's something about an approachable girl, like a girl that's got an imperfection. I said, it makes you more attractive. You know, like if you see somebody that's like a Hollywood 10, most guys are going to be like, or most bisexual women or gay women are going to be like, there's no way in heck that person will even talk to me. But, you know, if there's somebody that's like, oh man, it makes you more endearing and interesting, I think, to have some sort of flaw. Now, what's happened with 4K cameras is now you see every Hollywood actress and every Hollywood actor has moles and fucking hair growing out of the moles and divots in their skin. And it's like, God, that guy that was on Freaks and Geeks and he was on the Muppet movie, Jason Sudeikis, I don't remember the guy's name. I can't remember, but the guy who's like the lead,
Jason
Amy
Segel.
Adams. Dude, that dude's face looks like a minefield of moles. It's like, how did that guy ever get a job in Hollywood? It's because the cameras have gotten so advanced and whatnot.
What I'm happiest about in the movie, and I'm so glad that Funk did this for me, is I could have had a booger in every scene of the movie, but I would not care, because there's one scene where I'm sitting on a rock with my leg up.
Don't say
and
this.
Why are you saying this? You see my, through my pants, you see my dong, and man, I was like, that's some dong right there, buddy.
Me? Why are you thanking me?
You're like, thanks, Funk Master V.
I also thank the Lord.
I
thank you for keeping that in the movie, because I have had more people message me going, "That's some dong there, buddy." You know.
Gross. Do not approve.
You know, you said we got to play to our problems, and for some reason, you know, me and Funk are both straight men, but we do have a pretty good following among the gay communities because we're gay-friendly guys. We treat everybody as equals, and I think the best way to treat people as equals is with a sense of humor. We treat everybody with a sense of humor. We poke fun at us. We poke fun at everybody, but we do it from a place from love. But we have a pretty strong gay following. And you know, it said, hey, if I gotta, show the outline of my dong on the movie, I'm good with that. We can play to the base,
Yeah, nobody cared about booger in your nose. They were just like, check out that package.
Yeah, they're like, I feel bad now. Can we go rewind this about 20 minutes so I can start saying, I want to say wang instead of dong. I think wang is fine.
Aren't they both like Asian, like stereotypical racist words? You can't say either one of those, can you?
Yeah, you can say wang.
Can you?
Yeah, you can say
I don't
wang.
know. I don't know if you can.
No, and even Travis looked great in the movie too, and he was.
Why are you talking about how everybody? We talk about how people looked the last 20 minutes.
Well, at least he got over the whole eating the catering thing. At least it's something positive.
Speaking of, we're filming that show this week. You know what that means? Catering.
What?
Catering.
Hey, you know what? We don't have to spend any money. Boy, I'll tell you what. That's true. When you go, the Knoxville company that does most of the filming, they're not the only ones, but the ones that do most of it, gosh, man, they got some freaking good catering, man. Unbelievable. Now I'm working there 5 days this week too, man. I'm looking forward to that job. Hell yeah!
You're gonna get some extra pimples in your butt.
The first time I had couscous. They had orzo pasta, which I haven't had in years. That stuff is the bomb diggity, man.
Well, the WWE will hire people to be what we call jobbers or enhancement talent. And when two people meet, like I did enhancement talent for them back in the 90s.
Well, tell people what that means. People don't.
That means you go in, they might use you to get beat up by somebody. You could have a match where you get your ass kicked, but and my problem was I went there about 5 different times, and since I'm 6'8", they had nobody for me to go against. But nobody cares if two guys that worked enhancement meet. The first thing they always say is, "Yeah, what about that catering?" What about what about that craft food, man? And I have the same thing to say about the times I've done extra work. Is, man, Hollywood don't pay, and these companies don't pay very well. But by God, they put it all into catering.
They take care of people, at least food wise. That's what we got to do now. Is now that we got people coming in, we're gonna have to feed them, and they're gonna have to get like McDoubles from McDonald's or something.
Yeah, you mean my camera bag full of Necco wafers and Krabby Patties wasn't good enough?
Oh, you got to pass on those, man. Krabby Patties, gross.
Yeah. Well, we had to use them.
So you guys are starting your new gig this week as the Sniper and the Snitch.
The Sniper and the Snitch. Man, that sounds like an album cover or album title. I like that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun because I don't know. Me and Luke have never been able to work this week and together, and then this week it's going to be fun, man. I mean, we're going to. Now, I will tell you this: acting is not fun, or doing that. It is fun to watch the final product, but acting is miserable, to be honest. But Luke there will be fun. Now, things are weird now because of COVID. When we shot the hike, we did everything. It was real. We were all pretty much friends, and we trusted each other that we weren't going to get each other sick, and luckily we didn't. But when you're a production company like this, you got to take care of the people, and there's a lot of caution. We're going to be separated. We're not going to be able to really fraternize. That's one thing you do as an actor is you have a lot of downtime, so you get to make friends or social, acquaintances or whatnot. And you can actually do a pretty good job of networking when you're acting, but that's why it's going to be cool that Luke's going to be there for a couple of days. I'll have somebody to hang out with.
Well, they sent me an email that said they sent me an email, and one of them, or sent me a bunch of emails, but one of them it said, you be sure to bring your own car, make sure it's got heating and air conditioning, because between takes you're going to go out and sit in your car, and if the camera's not rolling, you have a mask on. And so, they're taking that COVID stuff pretty seriously, which, said when we filmed the hike, we made sure there was only 4 or 5 people on set at a time. So that worked out pretty well. But
the weird thing is the last acting role I had, I found a body, in these shows. It wasn't, it was just like walking in the woods and then take a phone call, I was basically done in a couple hours, but they were very you got to stand over here and you got to be separated. And it was a very small crew and everybody was so far apart, but the funny thing about that was my legs, I must have an allergic reaction to fauna or something. My legs were eaten alive when I was shooting the hike. I had scars and I was bleeding all the time, and I couldn't believe it. So I got this acting gig in the middle of us shooting the hike. It was through the week, so I could do it. And it was like, you got to go in the in the forest here, and we got to find a body. And I'm like, oh my God! And my legs were so irritated. Like I must have gotten some poison ivy, and they were in pain. I never had poison ivy hurt that bad. And there were open sores. I know it sounds gross. We're talking about how sexy we are, but there's just open cuts and just gross stuff. And I was like, I gotta go in the damn woods, and it was unbelievable. But thankfully, I wasn't. But I was standing in the middle, and the guy was like, "You're standing in poison ivy," and I was like, "Oh my God, man, my legs are gonna fall off of my body. It's gonna be horrible." But
now, if you remember last year, we almost had a chance to work for somebody else's production. There was that Royal Tenenbaum show or whatever it was.
Oh, the Royal Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah, we were
Have you
gonna.
ever seen that?
Yeah, I watched it. It was pretty good.
That's great.
But yeah, it's got Danny McBride and John Goodman. And
Yeah.
We would have loved to. Could you imagine us on set with Danny McBride and John Goodman?
Man.
Yeah, we would have been over in the corner going, there's Danny McBride and John Goodman.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping this other deal that we auditioned for happens, because that'd be a lot of fun, because like I said, that's for stars, and it's kind of the characters are in our wheelhouse more than any character we've even wrote for ourselves.
Do you know that I was so busy trying to get all you guys, like our friends, never did. The guys that are in our movies have never auditioned really for anything. I was so into coaching and telling them to redo their stuff that I didn't get a chance to even audition for it.
Oh, no.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I was trying
What
to
a
make
good
sure.
friend.
I think,
You're a good person. That's a good thing.
well, it's an opportunity. It pays. Probably the stupidest thing I ever did, but it's an opportunity for, I think, Mike, and Mike's a good-looking guy. We're talking about looks again. I don't know what we're doing tonight, but look, Mike's a good-looking kid. I think he's a pretty good actor. He probably needs some work, but I think he's got an opportunity. And Travis is, I think, the best actor of all of us. And so I was more for them. I thought it'd be more important for them to have their shot. So. But anyway, you guys may get to get. Now the thing that'll piss me off is all like three of us go, and then I'll be like, that could have been me. But hey, you just throw me a little bit of money on the side, we'll be all right.
Yeah, you can play manager this time. I'll be the manager.
They threw the money out in advance, and I was like, what? What? The
stupid money.
Yeah, it's ridiculous amount of money. Like, it's like I don't even make that in I barely make that in 2 weeks type money.
A day, yeah.
So when do you guys find out about this other one on Oxygen and stuff? Are they reviewing your?
Oh no, we're in for Oxygen.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a done deal. That's the Oxygen.
Oh
thing
no,
is
that was Stars.
Yeah.
Star. Oh, we'll know pretty soon. In fact, if we don't hear anything this weekend, we probably didn't get it. I think they came to us. They came to me and they said, "We know you do. You have a bunch of actors that are wrestlers." And my agent was thrilled with everybody. We had El Gordo Gringo and Keith Gavins, Big Luke, Funk Master V, Hack, Scott Lang from The Walking Dead. Some cool kids, and they were thrilled about that. And but I don't know how big the audition is. I mean, it's out of Atlanta, so there's probably 3,000 guys trying to go for those gigs. So if there's only 3 parts, if the audition was chintzy, it's only like each character only had 1 line. So they're looking for a look. They're looking to see if the guy can talk and they have a certain look. They're not really looking for much else, I don't think.
Well, I feel good that you said you had to coach everybody else and walk them through it, and I just sent you the videos, and you didn't say if I did good or not. So I guess you didn't have to coach me.
Left out. No, you're making it feel left out.
I didn't watch yours because I figured you knew what you were doing.
Man, I've got this theory at work because I am a maintenance. I do maintenance for during my shoot job. I do maintenance for a restaurant conglomeration. And I have no idea what I'm doing, but I do it. And that was kind of how I did the auditions. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm doing it.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly. And I'm relatively smart.
You've had auditions before, though. That's the thing. You auditioned for Harlan stuff, Jason.
Well,
Marston.
yeah, but all my auditions were over like this, where they're over Skype. None of my auditions were record myself standing there saying lines. With my daughter, who was reading the lines against me, and then in one, which was my best take, she yawned. She's like,
She's such a jerk sometimes.
Yeah, my daughter was not helping me out at all in that. She was just, the whole time, she's being a complete dick. But
she's like, are we done yet, Dad? Oh, my God.
She's laughing at me, making me flub my lines. I probably had to do about 30 takes to read one line because she kept making me screw up or farting or whatever girls do.
You're like, forget it. I'll just send this video. You could stick your dick in it.
I gotta disappear for a second. I'll be right back.
All right.
What happened? He got emotional.
Yeah, that whole, My Pillow thing.
Now we're alone like I've been wanting the entire time.
Hey, baby.
Hello.
How you doing?
How you been? I'm not on the computer. I got the phone. My computer was acting weird. Is there any questions in the chat room or anything?
Let me hop back over there. I was busy eyeballing the fellers. Let's see. Well, Sleepy Dave said everybody Wang Chung tonight. But yeah, a lot of people talking about the COVID. Jojo was saying large business consolidation always breeds new small business opportunities. Something will rise out of it for short films, and independents see this type of cycle in business all the time, thinking some of the larger...
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he continued...
and that's...
Go ahead.
The reason we did the movie is because we do Wrestling with Ghosts and Haunted Graves and a couple other paranormal stuff, but the reason we decided to do the movie is because of COVID. It was the first time... My career basically is like I bought my entertainment career is I bought Bitcoin when it was at $30,000. It's like you should have bought it when it was $1. And I think the thing that me and Luke did well this time is that we recognized something is happening with COVID. And I'm getting to the age now and I see I bought a lot of cryptocurrency when Biden took office. It is shot. I've almost doubled my money.
Yeah.
So it was something like that where it was like nobody's producing content, and so Luke and I was like, let's make a movie. And so when we went out in the woods for shooting this thing, we didn't know how good it was going to be. Then we got excited because we think it is good. And we enjoy it, and we're proud of it. That's as artists, we're proud of it. And I know we're on here trying to sell the thing, but I don't want to sound like an egomaniac. But we are proud of the thing, and we hope everybody eventually can watch it cheap and enjoy it. And we think there's a chance for there to be a sequel. At the end of the movie, there could be it's like almost like the beginning of another story. And there's something I added since you've seen it at the very, very end that makes it look like, oh my God, the story could go this way. But so we saw that as an opportunity to get into the movie industry because we knew there was going to be just a vacuum. And the problem that we've ran into is just how stupid the industry is. I mean, I'm watching last night. We're in a hotel room, and I'm watching Coffee with Pam Grier. Sound is terrible. Shit looks terrible. It's funny. It's entertaining. Doesn't matter. But now we're in a day and age where everything has to match up with specs. Like Luke was talking earlier, you got to have 12 tracks of audio. We don't have 12 tracks of audio, so it's like it's limiting us. If this thing was even better than what we made it, we would have been disqualified in a lot of venues just because we were ignorant of the specifications and the exact equipment you needed. And so if a movie has heart and soul, it doesn't matter. For good storytelling or it doesn't matter. It has to meet these bullshit specs. So that's what we've been doing with the last 4 months is trying to make all these people happy. But we were right in the fact that, and what this guy said in the chat room, there is opportunity. Luke and I had the idea last year to do this thing that's four-walling because we knew theaters were going to struggle. Take the movie, get a cut, a majority of the ticket sales. If we advertise this thing right and say it's a movie, if we go to the Mid-South, it's a movie made in Mid-South, Mid-South actors, Mid-South stories that happen, Mid-South legend, regional artists, musicians. This is a true Mid-South horror movie. A lot of people are just going to come out because they're like, shit, I love Bryson City, North Carolina, or Virginia, or Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I know where all these places are, the Smoky Mountains, and that is a hook that I think can, if we do this well and the good Lord above smiles upon us, we can do okay financially. And so he's right about that. So they're always, I saw, 2008, I lost 2 houses because of the housing crisis that happened. And that makes you feel like shit. I was taking care of 2 families. You feel like you disappoint your wife. You feel like you disappoint your kids. You feel like you disappoint yourself. It's embarrassing. But there was a quote that I heard from a Michael Douglas movie. It says, Kurt, I can't remember, one of the two. They almost look identical. Michael Douglas was playing an old guy, so yeah, that's what it was. But he said, every catastrophe breeds opportunity. And it's true. So that's what, when the COVID happened, I'm sitting there watching it. I didn't think it was going to be serious. I would have lost a lot of money betting on how long this would have lasted. I can't believe, because we went through swine flu and Ebola, and we've heard this song and dance before. The fact that this went this crazy this long is just insane. But me and Luke were right on that. Now, the execution, we tried hard. We made a good movie. Getting the ball, the damn goal at this point is still up in the air. But we can actually independently make money with this, basically like what MC Hammer did, basically selling the cassettes out of the trunk of his car. We can do the same thing with selling DVDs. People want them, but mainly taking them to theaters and showcasing them there and selling the merchandise. So the guy's right about that. There's, and if we were smarter, there's probably other avenues of ways to market this thing.
Yeah, I would say instead of like
money.
DVDs, a lot of times people these days, even with video games, instead of buying DVD, they're just getting it online and having that digital version of it instead of having to worry about a disc that might get scratched or whatnot. And then you have to replace it.
DVDs are so old. A lot of people don't even have a DVD or a Blu-ray player anymore. I mean, it's that is one thing that people used to have that you could sell. Hey, buy my DVD. Now people, if they buy it, it's probably out of charity and it just sits on a shelf with they put their Pepsi on top of it or whatever. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, there's ways. And that's what we're doing with this GoFundMe thing is you can actually get a digital link where you can watch the movie if you donate $15 to us to make the next movie, to pay for all these licenses and copyrights and all this crap.
And if you want to do that, go to funkmasterv.com, and you can find the link to the GoFundMe.
On the page, or you can just go to GoFundMe and look for Big in Funky, and we're the first thing that pops up. So, and we would appreciate it because I got to get E&O insurance and this, that, and the other, and all sorts of crap, copyrights. It's just expensive, but it's a hurdle that can be overcome.
Indeed.
You all right, Luke? You went away and now you're sad.
Well, no, I went to I forgot that I put in my kid's bathroom. I put the new shower curtain in for him. That's just a penitent picture of Jeff Goldblum, and so it got me thinking.
You had to go talk to Jeff real quick?
Yeah, I had to. He made me think about life a little bit, and things happen.
What voice? I mean, what character? When you pray to the shower curtain of Jeff Goldblum, which Jeff is it? The Fly? Is it his character from Jurassic Park?
The tall man. The tall man.
The tall man. And what did he tell you?
He never talks back, man. I don't think he likes me very much.
Oh man.
You don't like dudes. You gotta turn that around. He knows you're anti-Semitic.
He's the person I'm trying to impress in the world. Is Jeff Goldblum. So
one day, he seems like a pretty nice guy.
I dig him. He seems like he's got a really good personality. He doesn't seem like personally he'd be cocky or anything. I don't know. I could see him being cool and laid back and humorous.
Could you? And he hangs out. He hangs out looking at a dog in my bathroom. So.
Can you imagine him being a complete asshole though?
Yeah.
Probably.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he probably is an asshole. He's very likable, which makes me suspicious. Like, I bet he's in that QAnon stuff where he eats the kids and he's a pedophile or something.
He's going to try to find if the Earth is flat. Yeah.
I felt so stupid because I was like, I didn't even know what QAnon was. I just assumed it was some sort of rehab group like AA or something, QAnon. And people are like, you've never heard of QAnon? Like, I've heard it, like, passed around or whatever, but I don't get into gossip and all this other BS-ery. And so, yeah, I realized who they actually were after this whole Capitol shenanigans. But, yeah, I felt, not as smart as I did before.
It makes me worried for the country. There's a thing called Al-Anon. Right? I guess that's what you were, yeah. So
yeah, I was like, there's Al-Anon, there's got to be QAnon.
It's for the gays. It's the gay drunks. It's QAnon. Yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't it? I got somebody to laugh over here about that one. But it makes the thing that happened at the Capitol and then the exposure to the QAnon mainstream stuff is with flat Earth and this QAnon stuff, you see people that are fairly intelligent and they have jobs and they get out of bed and they can put their shoes on the right feet and they wipe their ass properly, apparently. And then it's like they fall for this weird. There's a guy that we used to do a podcast, Luke and I, his name is Big Perm. And he was a taxi driver. Yeah. Out of Joliet, Illinois. No, Peoria, Illinois. And great guy. Had a great voice. His show was so good. And he got in that QAnon stuff. Like, I would be sitting there going, man, Trump is, he's not very bright. And he's like misspelling words on his Twitter. And he's like, no, man, every third letter on the first sentence, every fourth letter on the second sentence, you take the letters and they spell these codes about what's happening with this pedophile ring. Well, when QAnon was going down and the Capitol thing was going down, I was like, I asked some friends of mine on Facebook, let me have some of these pages of where these people talk. And when the inauguration happened, and they were assuming that all that military, how there was all these military, that they assumed that they were all going to turn in all the Democrats with the rifles, and they were going to take Biden and Obama and the Bushes and Michelle and Pelosi and then round them all up while the inauguration was happening and take them to this cave and arrest them and then start charging them with crimes, and then Trump was going to come back out and he was going to be re-sworn as president. And to watch them realize that for 4 years they believed this insane bullshit, and to see people going, it's not happening. It's not what it's supposed to happen. And then people are like, I've lost my job and my wife and my kids don't talk to me. And it's like, I'm going to be the laughing stock of my family. And I'm just like,
I'm on a terrorist list.
Yeah, I'd look at these people's profiles and stuff, and it was like, good-looking people sometimes, and they had a nice dog, and they're in front of a house, and they got a car that looks pretty good, and it's like, these are people that are with it. Why do they fall for that? It's nuts.
I let Perm went on for about 3 months with every post he made was all, at the end he would say, you can't stop what's coming. And then at the inauguration, I was like, well, somebody stopped what's coming. What's coming? I don't understand here.
There's still a contingent of people that think that Trump's going to be sworn in March. I think 4th or the 24th or something. There's still people that think he's coming back.
Yeah, it's like the 4th or 5th, and then I saw this post on, TikTok, which I know Big Luke's on there. That's how I first got into it.
Really?
Yeah, that's when I first started going on there, and I'd watch all his stuff and then watch all this random stuff. But there was this one from a time traveler, and he said, you don't believe time travel's real? Well, put this on your calendars. I almost said maps. Put this on your calendar, March 6th. So that's pretty close to what they're saying, like the 4th or 5th or something, for this more of this QAnon shenanigans going on. But
what do they say is going to happen at 6 with the time traveling?
The time traveler said this before I saw that QAnon's supposed to do something on the 5th or 6th of March. He said, put the 6th on your map, and I think they're the 4th or 5th with whatever they're planning. But yeah, it was just interesting. He didn't say what was going to happen. He just said it was going to be something major on the 6th of March. So I'm waiting to see what happens.
Pretty broad.
I would love for there to be an uncensored TikTok.
Right?
The TikTok, I've only put up maybe 20 videos, and 8 of them have been censored and removed, and for no reason. One I had my friend Gay Allen on, and they took it off because I called him Gay Allen. Well, he calls himself Gay Allen.
Right? It's not like
You
you're
know?
being offensive to Allen.
They are really over the top with the censorship on TikTok, and that's kind of annoying. But I wish there was.
Well,
an
it is
uncensored
Chinese.
TikTok.
Chinese people are very.
Well, you think that would be the time for an American company to make an American TikTok that's got looser censorship,
Right? Well, on that note,
'cause
you
I've
guys,
seen
go ahead.
What are we doing?
We're about to go to our
Oh,
second music break,
go
but
for
finish
it.
what you're saying, Luke.
Oh no, I wasn't saying anything. I was actually kind of scratching my nipple here. It's real weird.
Oh. Could be something going on there with that. All right, well, on that
He's
note, you guys,
lactating.
yeah, that could get harsh. Make sure, you express a lot so you don't get those hard, clumpy breastises going on.
I feel bad for you girls, man. You guys go through so much we don't even have to think about. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm
know.
for you. Keep it up.
Thanks. Well, on this break, you guys, we're going to listen again to Mr. Hosni Bronx from Jamaica, as well as the Bronx of New York. With Free Child, we got King Cinnamon with Rosie, and Hosni Bronx again with Strong Life. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break.
I am a child of one who decided this life for
Oh yeah, it's funky on the beats.
Suck my boobs, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Suck my boobs, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Cinnamon, cinnamon, do it softly. I said you wine your body, eat the sweetie, sweetie. Make it rock my body, I am feeling horny. Make it touch my body, I am feeling sweetie. Suck my boobs, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Suck my boobs, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. All my men, they wear out. All my guys, they wear out. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. All my men, they wear out. All my guys, they wear out. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Mukomukeji, go bere muketa. Oya mukomukeji, oya bere muketa. Daddy mu ekon, omo ni pe mukeji. Daddy bere muketa, omo ni fún mi lẹ́yìn. Daddy fisi fisi, omo ni ẹjọ́. Daddy saucy saucy, omo ni ẹjọ́. Daddy kosi kosi, omo ni ẹjọ́. Daddy tọ́hìn kosi, omo ni ẹjọ́. Daddy and his baby, them dey for corner. Daddy begin the touch and the girl dey holla. Now daddy begin the open the shirt collar. Now something come out, daddy begin the suck am. Daddy mu ekon, omo ni pe mukeji. Daddy bere muketa, omo ni fún mi lẹ́yìn. Daddy fisi fisi, omo ni ẹjọ́. Daddy saucy saucy, omo ni ẹjọ́ ẹjọ́. All my men they wear out. All my guys they wear out. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. All my men they wear out. All my guys they wear out. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Suck my boobs, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Suck my boobs, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Cinnamon, cinnamon, do it softly. I said you wine your body, eat the sweetie, sweetie. Make it rock my body, I am feeling horny. Make it touch my body, I am feeling sweetie. Suck my boobs, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Suck my boobs, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Kissy, kissy, I'm money, edge. Daddy saucy, saucy, I'm money, edge. Daddy kosi, kosi, I'm money, edge. Daddy kahir, kosi, I'm money, edge. Daddy contact, I'm money, edge. Daddy comfort, daddy consist, I'm money, edge. Daddy can't eat, daddy 120, I'm money, edge. Daddy 18, daddy 240, I'm money, edge. Daddy 360. Daddy and the baby, them there for corner. Daddy begin the touch and the girl they holla. Daddy begin the open the shirt collar. I come to come, daddy begin the sucker. Daddy mu ekon, omo ni pe mukeji. Daddy bere muketa, omo ni fún mi lẹ́yìn. Daddy fisi fisi, omo ni ẹjọ́. Daddy saucy saucy, omo ni ẹjọ́ ẹjọ́. All my men they wear out. All my guys they wear out. Imarama, 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 Imarama.
Oh yeah, it's funky on the beats.
Babylon to make you suffer. Babylon to make I don't like to fight, but if we are together, it will work. It will work. Whoa, whoa. Babylon no have no heart. 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 My people, you have to survive. Yeah, you must rebuild you and make your own way. You must not give up. The beginning of the revolt will start. We need to follow our true destiny. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know, whoa, why my people live this life. I don't know, whoa, why my people live this life. The obstacle we face, yeah, is Babylon. The world is a good place, yeah, for our freedom. You take everything, you don't breathe anything, yeah, yeah. Young life, all anti-dread. We must believe in a magical, powerful force that unite us, not just these people stay speechless again. We don't want to talk, no, it's time to fight, yeah. We start talking. Babylon make you suffer. 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 What the desire? Young life. We are ready to fight.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for tuning in tonight to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we have Vinnie Vineyard, aka Funk Master V, and then we have Big Luke, aka Luke Walker. Welcome back, guys, and thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight.
See, Luke's eating a pizza like a jabron. Don't you
I
know
know,
you
and-
can't eat on these things?
Well, I got distracted because, Tessa, when she reads that, it goes in such a professional voice, and she gets all like prim in her shoulders. It's distracting. It's fantastic. I was a fan.
She gets prim.
Yeah. She's like,
Oh.
she gets like a look on her face. It's all professional and just kind of sits up straight. And I was like, it's awesome. It's a pro thing. Yeah, that you hit those posts very well.
Well, thank you. I try, man. Today I was so flustered. Like I said, when I first started the show, I felt like I was messing up everything, but, it all went good. I almost didn't kick off on time, but had to do it for KPNL over there. Like, man, can I do it? And I did. I was so proud of myself.
And you did. We're proud of you. It's you're a pro. You're a fantastic human being. And
Thank
I'm
you.
almost done with my second bottle of wine.
Very nice. What are you having?
Oh, it's a local vineyard. That's probably not a vineyard. It's probably like a garage in Cosby, Tennessee, called Sweet Walter.
Hell yes. Sounds awesome.
I love cheap homemade wine. There's nothing like it. And you're getting harassed over there, but
There's
we
two
were.
things I need to show you.
All right.
First
Go
one-
ahead.
we're talking on break about some censorship and stuff, and that kind of rolled into what we were talking about earlier with the movie industries really kind of trying to take over and kind of kick out us smaller time guys, and the censorship. And something Vinny told me on the break is an old Disney comic book. And I can't say I can't even say the name of it, but I put it up on my Facebook because it was so unbelievable. Disney canceled Gina Carano for really didn't say anything at all, but I just saw the comic book they put up, and it is maybe the most offensive thing you'd ever see in your life. And I'm like, well, how are you gonna cancel Gina Carano?
Well, they're trying to make up for past sins. I mean, what he's talking about is I saw this thing about 20 years ago, I think, and I could have bought one for $1,600. And it's a comic book that Disney made, and the second story in the comic book is called Mickey and Minnie Mouse versus the Fierce N-Words, and it is that N-word. And it's a group of black folks that interrupt Minnie and Mickey. They're just screwing around. I don't know what their motivation is, but they're screwing around with Minnie and Mickey Mouse, and they're talking about these black people horribly. And Walt Disney, the Disney company, is trying to buy every copy and destroy it and erase it from the face of the earth. Back around 2000. I could have bought one for, I think it was $1,600, and Luke just saw one on eBay for how much, Luke?
It was $132,000.
$132,000 to erase this from history.
Yep.
And I'm somebody that thinks you shouldn't erase history because we got to learn from it.
Yep.
And Walt Disney was a racist asshole, and you can't erase that from history. However, Disney's a new company, and I'm sure they don't hold those values anymore, of course. But that's the thing. Should we cancel Disney? Because in 1932, they created something horrible. It's like this person, Gino Camaro, whatever her name is, said some stupid stuff. We're in a country where you're supposed to have free speech. She was asked by her employer to stop. She did not stop. Now she's making a movie with Ben Shapiro. To me, I'd rather be in a Star Wars.
I would rather just go into a movie theater and watch Star Wars. As a matter of fact, I would rather probably sit at a pile of poop and watch Star Wars than do a movie for Ben Shapiro.
But Dave Chappelle, me and Luke love Dave Chappelle, and
the voice of our generation.
He's the voice of, I think, men of our generation. And there's so many parallels. Chappelle's funnier than me and Luke. He's smarter than me. He's got a lot more money than me. He's totally more successful in the entertainment industry. But as far as a man and an entertainer, even on my level, and trying to be a decent kind of spiritual person like Chappelle is, there's so much that he says that I agree with. And he's not a liberal, and he's not a conservative, and people don't understand that there's people like that exist. They think that you have to be in one camp or the other, and you don't. The thing, though, about Chappelle that I love is that he thinks in this country, and we were talking about this on the break, the three of us, nobody could hear us, reckless speech has to be protected. And reckless speech has to be encouraged, because if you're afraid that if you say something and in 20 years it's going to come back to bite you, what does that do? That makes you withdraw, and you're not yourself. Reckless speech, if you say something that's offensive or wrong, your friends can tell you can't say that anymore. If you're afraid to say anything, you're not educated anymore. People can't enlighten you. You can't enlighten others. There's no open dialogue. There's just fear, and then people are going to be politically correct, or they're not going to communicate, and it's going to be what is that?
No, I had
But it's going to encumber what this country's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be a free place, and that includes free speech. Reckless speech, you don't have to be right all the time. I've said stupid things in my life. I've thought stupid things in my life, and I grew. But I shouldn't be canceled or thrown away or discredited my whole life just because I was wrong. You know,
well, I got
the story, and you were talking about it too. You know, Biden said some horrible things about minorities. Has he grown? Did he turn a corner? Did he see the light? He's a religious man. Maybe Jesus was like, quit saying that shit. Quit thinking that stuff. Or is he just a shill and he's doing what he thinks he has to do and being nice to the right people? I don't know the answer to that, but he should have the opportunity to improve his life and be a better person.
Well, that goes for everybody. I was having a debate on one of your threads about Gina Carano with our friend Ben Jordan, and you know he was definitely in the camp of get rid of her, and he even said that he's like you have to be accountable for your words, which is true, but I told him I was like free speech. It's really weird that free speech is now in the domain of the Republicans. And that, kind of set him off a little bit. But I said the most important free speech is speech you don't agree with. Because if your reaction to free speech, if you are truly for free speech, if somebody says something you don't agree with, your accountability and reaction should be, oh, shut up. Or you turn, or you stop listening to them. As soon as you say somebody should make you shut up, yes, or we're going to make you shut up, you're not for free speech. You're not, It's like immigration is, something that's a hot button topic right now. But on our Statue of Liberty, it strictly says, send us your downtrodden, send us your homeless, send us your poor that are yearning for freedom. And right on. Where did we lose that? Mm-hmm. It doesn't say except Mexicans.
Yeah. Except for people from Haiti and other places that need somewhere to go. Like, come on.
Send them all here. I'm for it. And if we could get some kind of pathway to citizenship visa program that I've got a ton of friends that are illegal, and their only crime was either their parents brought them here or they wanted to make better lives for themselves. Right. Horrible. That's just terrible. We can't help those people out. Look, they're here. They're here. We can deal with the problem of, what we can do, send 20 million people, just kick them out. We need in my business, we need them.
There's so many jobs that they're doing that ain't none of us going to do. Just admit it. You're not going to do those jobs they're doing. And they'll do it with a smile on their face. And they'll send their money back home,
Americans will do the job, but we won't do them anywhere near as well. That's the problem. Because we all think that we should just be getting paid to be YouTube stars. We don't think that, and, we want to talk about racism in an oppressed society, but nobody's more oppressed than them because they fled oppression. And then they come here and, the police write them a ticket. I was a cop. I knew there was other cops I worked with that would pull the same car over every night, knowing that there was no driver's license and no insurance.
Just to harass them.
And the people in the car would like nothing more than to have a driver's license and insurance, but they can't.
I appreciate it now, man.
I have a friend at work. He's a young guy. He's 18 years old, and he's a great kid. He's slightly autistic. He's a Honduran, and he got pulled. He drove a car once, got pulled over, got a ticket, got his car impounded, and he'll never drive again. And I told him about the new policies that might be coming up with where he can get his with the DACA, the Dreamers Act, and all this stuff. And he cried. He goes, "You mean I can get a driver's license?"
I know, it's so hard.
That was his thing. He cried because he could get a driver's license.
Yeah. I mean, you're trying to go to work every day. You have to walk or hitchhike or take a bus or whatever. Could you imagine how much easier life would be if he could drive himself to the store or to work or whatnot?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
But the party of Jesus should definitely be on the side of immigration. Because, like, this kid's only crime was when he was 3 years old, his mom brought him across a border. And he can't...
Well, and go ahead.
And we're all immigrants. There's a nation of immigrants. That's the thing. And you'll get people who are Republicans or whatever, and they'll be like, well, we want them to be here legally. Well, they want to be here legally. The rigmarole, to use Luke's word, that they have to jump through to become American citizens is insane. It's basically like you have to be a contortionist and roll yourself up into a ball. You got to have a SAT score of 99, and you got to be able to do 3,000 jumping jacks. And
it would be like it would be like us going to the DMV every day for 8 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. It's a ridiculous set of. It's just ridiculous what they got to go through.
And Tessa got us as that you were on some paranormal networks, so ghosts.
Yes.
Just to hit your quota.
Well, before we get past that, the thing that really got to me was separating the kids from their parents. Why? Like, when in the history of man have we ever done this, and why the fuck would you ever do that? Like, you don't do that. Families need each other, and we know that as Americans, but things are changing so terribly. Go ahead.
As a former law enforcement officer and somebody that dealt with immigration and ICE quite a bit, I will tell you this, is that topic is a little bit skewed, because a lot of those times that, the kids are getting separated from their parents, those ain't their parents.
Yeah.
I mean, a vast majority of the time, those ain't their parents, and they have no way to prove if they're their parents or not. So they are separating them to find out if it's actually the kids. And I'm telling you, it's like 90% of the time that ain't those kids' parents.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing, but nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to talk real about it. Everybody just wants to put passion. Well, what about terrorists coming over the border? When was the last time was there a terrorist attack?
Right. That wasn't a white person from America.
Yeah, things are just going crazy, and like you're saying, free speech. Well, everything like Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, even, they're censoring everything. What happened to freedom of speech? What happened to what this country was based on from the get-go? Like, why are we trying to get rid of all this stuff? And like you said, it's like, how many hoops do you have to jump through? Well, you have to memorize the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Like, nobody memorizes that unless they're really smart. But I don't have that memorized, and they make it virtually impossible, but the numbers are different now. I think it was at first at 10,000, and now they're at 100,000 or whatnot, people that are allowed to import. I mean, I agree, they should be here legally. There are a lot of people that come over here illegally so they can, work in the drug world or whatnot.
It's easier to come over illegally.
Yeah,
and because trying to come over legally is damn near impossible. And if we were us three human beings were in Mexico, we would do the same thing.
Well, and the other thing is too, they wouldn't be here if people who are probably Republicans weren't hiring them. If they had no opportunity to create more income, if you wanted to really get rid of the immigrants that are here illegally, you would pass laws that would basically almost be like a freaking corporate death sentence to people who are hiring illegals. But the people that are hiring illegals are Republicans and rich, and we need the cheap labor. I mean, it's not fun to talk about, but America was built on the backs of cheap labor. It continues today. That's why we're the number one economy in the world. It's because we've always gotten away with paying people less than what they should get paid, and it's just the way it is, and it continues. And if they really wanted to curb people coming here, they would say, if you hire an illegal immigrant, you're going to be fined $10,000 per immigrant, or $100,000, whatever, and then you go to jail for 90 days or whatever they wanted to do. But they don't do that because those people are the constituents of the Republicans.
Yeah, and
but they also play both sides.
Yeah, when I used to live in Glenwood Springs and I worked in Aspen cleaning rooms and stuff, there came a point, and like most of the girls on our cleaning team were illegals, and they were awesome. Like, they were some of my best friends. I didn't start to get upset until they'd take us white girls off the clock and let the other girls work longer. For me, that was messed up. And it's
overtime.
Yeah, and it's not the immigrants' fault. It's the people who hired you. It's their fault in their business policies or whatnot. But I don't know. I'm just hoping things get better, but it just seems like so many things are going insane, going crazy, like getting rid of history, like you said before. They're taking down these different monuments because people are getting offended because this general was here for this, whatever. These things happen. Well, he did a lot of good for a lot of... Oh, I can't think of the word right now. Anyways, a lot of people that are supposedly below the... He did a lot of good things. He did some messed up stuff, but he did a lot of good things for other people. But the only smart thing I ever really recall coming out of Trump's mouth was about all these monuments coming down, and George Washington had slaves. How come you're not taking down the Washington Monument? Like, we should not be trying to erase history. We should be learning from it.
Well, I'm not going to go jump straight up all over the Republicans, because I will say that there is probably 50% of the things that Trump did business-wise for the country were freaking brilliant, and we shouldn't dismantle them because he was Trump. Mm-hmm. Some of his different policies and tariffs and
terrible, by the way.
But America First is something that we really should concentrate on, because, like shutting a pipeline down that goes from Canada through America so we can buy oil from Saudi Arabia. Making America a self-sufficient oil nation is smart. Trying to bring businesses back and cutting corporate taxes so business can compete while staying in America, smart. But the guy's also an asshole. So,
well, you got to do it smarter too. Don't take it through, land that for natives is, spiritually up there. Like,
but
this is
to take the difference. Talk to those natives, and they were making a lot of money and they were fine with it.
Well,
most of those natives, were there are very few, said of the millions of natives around there, like 5,000 were protesting. The rest were like, dude, this is our economy. We're making, we're making a living off of this.
Nobody was making any money. The pipeline was closed for years. There was only a few. That whole thing's been blown out of proportion too. It was going to be sold to China anyway. That whole project.
Yeah, it's just like, be smarter about where you build it. Don't build it by waterways or whatnot. Build it somewhere where it's not going to pollute those, because someday we're not going to have that.
It's the thing where I'm in the middle. Kind of, I call myself like a liberal capitalist. Where
you're libertarian.
Yeah, I can't think that everything that Trump did is bad because he's Trump, and I don't think everything that Biden does is bad because he's Biden. Like people jumping all over this immigration bill when it's smart. There's some dumb shit in it. The $2 trillion stimulus we're getting out, $15 minimum wage, people fighting against that. Well, it's going to raise the prices of everything. Well, the prices have gone up anyway without a raise in minimum wage. Now, there is a good point going on as well. Well, are you going to raise Social Security? Well, yeah, they should raise Social Security payouts because, minimum wage and Social Security aren't keeping up with inflation. Will it cause more inflation? Maybe, but we got to try it. We have to. We've tried the other way so long, and it's getting the critical mass. It's getting to a point of failing. We've got to try something different. Is the Biden way or the right? Probably not, but it's something different, and we need to try something different.
Yeah, we need a big change. Yeah, we need to dish out the House, the Senate. We need to get rid of all the 80-year-old and whatever people that are sleeping during their jobs. And we need to have new people in there. And I hate labels. Like, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democratic. I'm not anything that's on the table. Like, I feel for me, what's right. And for me what's wrong, and I'll go with whatever for me feels right, and I'll vote for that. And it's generally not the popular vote, because for me, there's more people out there than just these two dumb assholes running for president. Like, there's a lot of other people out there that want a chance at it. And I'd rather vote for them than the two evils.
I was willing to give Trump a shot while he was campaigning when he was talking about term limits for Congress, and then he didn't do it. He didn't even bring it up.
They really need to.
And then, that was one of the things that I went, yeah, damn it. It's like Obama fought so hard to close down. I loved Obama, don't get me wrong, but he fought so hard to close down Gitmo, and then as soon as he got in office, somebody got in his ear and said, dude, you can't close down Gitmo.
Well, and every president in the history of man that has run for presidency has said so many things that they're going to do once they get into office. But once you get in, you're sworn in, and there's these certain things that you can do and these certain things that you can't. So it's just like
Biden said first day you were going to see a $2,000 stimulus check. Where is it?
Yeah. Hopefully by the end of March, they say.
Yeah, it's just the point, though. They talk a lot of jive. They write a lot of checks they can't cash.
Well, and the dumb thing about the stimulus check is there's people fighting against it. Like there's one Democrat fighting against it, saying there's people that don't need it. Why are you giving it to all these? There's people that don't need it, and I want to disagree with that guy. But you know what? I don't need it. I don't need that check. You know what I'm going to do with that check? I'm going to put a huge down payment on a Jeep.
That's stimulus, though. You're buying a Jeep. You're buying a Jeep and you're helping a bank and a small business, an auto lot, and you're helping Jeep.
Well, then
in an economic crisis, though.
Driving around with the top down and my shirt off is going to be stimulus for a lot of ladies.
Hair flowing, a lot of stimulus going on right there.
I'm all about the stimulus, ladies.
Well, yeah, and they're like, oh, why are you doing that? They're just spending it on stupid stuff. It doesn't matter. It's keeping the economy going. Don't worry about where people are putting their money, or if they're hoarding it. Whatever they're doing is good for them. So don't worry yourself. Yeah. Don't worry your pretty little pointed head about it. But like Vinny was saying, getting back to ghosts. Okay, so weird thing happened 2 weeks ago, and I keep forgetting to bring it up, but I am now. We have snow accounts. That's one of our many businesses we do. We also do security and personal protection and such, but we had a really big
snow accounts. Those are the ones that sing Informer. Some little bitch gonna play ya. I get your boom boom down.
Get boom boom down. Yeah. So that morning, before we go out to shovel and plow snow, Vern gets a phone call from the lady that runs our accounts through this property management place. Well, this lady's been dead for a year now. She passed away from cancer. So he tries to call her back, and it goes...
Did she vote for Biden?
I don't know.
Let the woman talk.
But he tried to call her back, and it was a disconnected number. So how did that phone call in the first place? It was just really strange and pretty cool at the same time. Like, I don't know, I was teasing him. I was like, she just loved you so much. She just had to call you and make sure you're getting on your snow accounts. But that was pretty interesting. Have you guys had anything like that happen?
Yeah, Vinny had something like that with the phone where you did that demon investigation.
Weird night of my life. I was called to a house in Newport, Tennessee. Speaking about all this controversial racial stuff, Newport is a town once upon a time that in the 80s, it had a billboard that had a black man on it and said, "Don't let the sun go down on your ass here." It was a sundown town.
They burned a cross in somebody's yard 4 years ago in Newport, Tennessee.
Yeah. So Newport is not, we're not for Newport doing that stuff at all. So, but we go out there and there's some good people that live there, and you get some cheap houses. It's a lot of people who can't afford to rent in Gatlinburg, which Gatlinburg is a huge tourist town in Tennessee. They live in Newport because it's cheap. But anyway, going out, this house was, the family lived in this house, and I was called out by the Walking Dead's TKO. He's the bearded, tattoo, heavy guy from the Walking Dead. And me and Luke, actually, he's a pro wrestler too, and me and Luke actually was in a program where we defended our tag belts against TKO and Scott Lane, who Scott Lane is in The Walking Dead. He's the guy with the weird eyeball and the long hair. He was also in the end credits of Homecoming, the Spider-Man movie, where he's walking with Michael Keaton in the jail. But anyway, TKO wants me to come out, and he says there's a lot of crazy stuff on it. And I said, okay, we'll check it out. So they had the house completely dark. See, these people try to ghost hunt because they saw stuff on TV. And they got small kids there. They had all the lights out. And I was like, why are all the lights out? You don't need it. This just makes it scarier. But apparently, a table had flipped up on its own. Everybody there attests to that. There were pebbles being thrown the entire time from, like, they had like these planters. They had little tiny rocks kind of where the tree comes out in the basket or whatever. And the rocks are being shot. Now, somebody could have had a handful of rocks, throwing them in the darkness. I don't know. But the thing that I do know is that the girl got a call from the number when we're having this big thing, and TKO is confronting the demon, calling it a son of a bitch and stuff and that kind of craziness, which I don't. You shouldn't do that with the ghosts anyway, or whatever. You scare the kids mainly. But he was doing his jive. And kids are sitting there frightened to death. They're like there's strangers in the house at midnight, and we're yelling at ghosts, and rocks are thrown. But there was a phone call. This is the one thing I do know. There was a phone call, and the number on it said 666. Now, I have a lot of people that said you can fake those. You can go to a website and fake a phone number. The way I've done this on several apps, and it looked different. When you do a fake phone number, there's certain, like United States will pop up, for example. This had nothing except 666. It looked completely different from those fake phone numbers that you can do. So, when you answered the phone, it was the family that lived there on the other line. We were like, hello? Because, you know, when you answer the devil, hello?
Hello.
But on the other line was the children that lived there crying.
Oh, no.
And when you hung up and you called star 69 to try to call it back, there was, when it picked up, it was the children crying again. And that's when we were like, okay, this is weird. Now, if that was a trick, you know, TKO is a ball buster. So was that an elaborate ruse to make me look, to pull a joke over me? I don't know. I don't think so, because he never really mentioned it again. And he looked like he was out of sorts himself. But who knows? But that was one of the crazier things in the ghost hunting universe that I'd ever experienced, because it just was, I couldn't explain it. I'm one of those people that try to figure the things out, and that one was wild.
Look at Luke over there. He's got the wine yawns.
Yeah, I'm almost done with bottle number 2. But no, it's that was when Vinny called me up just freaking out about that, and that was not short after he went up to a house in Gatlinburg that without me that had all sorts of weird things, like a moth exploded and like weird stuff like this. We got like mutant moths around here that are huge. And he said like one landed next to a candle and exploded, and the candle wax spelled something or something like that. And
that was actually years later. That was back in 2018. That was. Well, that's a 20-minute story right there. I mean, I think my daughter that night. I think my daughter found God that night. That's how crazy that night was. I mean,
Was that at the church house, or that was something else?
No, this was I occasionally, it was weird. Ever since the Gatlinburg fires, me and Luke, people will call us I've been called to help check on people, see if a dog escaped, check on somebody's cameras. They think we're like low rent superheroes or something.
Right?
Help buy groceries for this person. I mean, it was just like, can you help this person? some congressman called somebody a queer, and they wanted me to go confront the guy. And I've had a lot of people were getting kicked out of a hotel, and they called me for help. Like, I don't know how to help you with a freaking landlord kicking you out of a hotel. But there was also some of that with the ghost stuff. And people, I've been out to houses where people are like, "Can you come see?" And the one, that story, I kind of want to make like a documentary or something out of that story. But there was a, long story short, Luke smokes too much and he's going to die. No, but
don't do it.
There was a spirit up there, and that kind of was in this house, and these houses were very strange. It'd just take me too long to talk about it. But there was, I have to set it up. But I'll tell you this though. You know, we're on my Facebook and stuff, and there was when we were trying to get Wrestling with Ghosts sold, there was I had a lot of paranormal people active on my Facebook feed, and I was showing pictures of the house, and I had more than one person. I probably had 3 people. I had at least 2 people message me immediately and said, "What are you doing tonight?" And I'm like, "I'm up here. A friend of mine's got a problem with a particular spirit. She's having dreams about this spirit. She thinks this place is really something sinister going on here." And they're like, "Dude, there's like," and they both said the same thing, that there were skinwalkers in the yard. And there were people from 2 different parts of the country, and they didn't know each other. And they were both like witches or something. They were like, "Be careful tonight. This is," and that night was heavyweight championship fight, man. That was a crazy night, dude. Absolutely. But
So what was spelled out in wax?
Well, he got the story a little bit wrong. I mean, there was a candle that was outside, and this girl was into using salt and sage, and she put salt all over the banisters outside the door. And there was while we were doing what we were doing, the wax melted, and it became these long fingers. I've never seen it. It like melted, and it went 7-8 feet down, this wax, and it didn't break off. It didn't melt away or evaporate or anything. It just this weird long fingers. Some of them were only like 2 feet long. Some of them went all the way to the ground almost outside. And in the salt, there was an upside down cross made. And I just know, as a human being, if you make a cross, the cross will look a certain way. The salt will build up. You will go from the top down, build the salt up at the bottom, and then you'll either go this way or that way. But the salt, somebody was on the outside of the banister floating 20 feet in the air, and they did the upside down cross reverse. A human being wouldn't do a cross upside down typically. And while they're sitting there, we're sitting there, and there were different things we were doing, trying to get the house safe. This freaking Luna moth, it was a Luna moth, landed in the wax, and it was alive, and the wax was melting all the way around it. I've got pictures of it. I'll show you after the show tonight of the pictures. They're wild. If I didn't lose them, but the wax went around the Luna moth and then started dripping down. There was
weird.
I know that doesn't sound like much, but there was a whole bunch of other stuff that was happening that night if she was fooling me, or if that was just a bunch of coincidences, it's still one of the wildest nights I've ever experienced.
Yeah, if she was faking it, she should have won an Emmy. As far as the kids in the room, crying on the phone, was there anybody in there with them that could have used one of these apps on a phone to call from a certain number and put 666 in it and have that repeatedly come up? Because generally, when you do have one of those, unless you do have this certain app, I can't remember what it was my daughter used to use to call and text people for free, but you can actually call and text them at that same number. But generally, like with the telemarketers, you try to call it back. This is not a working number. It is not in service. And you actually got the kids crying. Did you feel
But
like...
it wasn't one of those, that's why I was saying it wasn't one of those apps either, because when you do those apps, there says, I don't remember now, but there's a difference. Like, when you do those apps, most of them have, like, the United States written down. Or there's another particular type of indicator showing that it's some sort of a real phone number, even though it's a fake. And this was just pure 666. If I'm remembering all that correctly, it was just this really strange. There was no United States, no Knoxville, Tennessee, no Baltimore, Maryland. It was just 666, which was pretty wild.
That is
That's
insane.
all that showed up on a cell phone. And
Man,
when
I
you-
wish we
when you
started
called-
talking about this earlier, but I have to cut you off because we are at the end of our time. You guys, please tell our listeners where they can find you, where to find your shows, and how to donate to your cause for your next movie.
Well, the way you want to do that is you can find us on Facebook. I'm Luke Walker. That's Vinnie Vineyard, Funkmaster V. Go to WJHC AM on Facebook, and you could find pretty much that's the place right now where we're doing most of our updates. Funkmasterv.com also updates, and that's where you can find the GoFundMe page. And you can see the hike through that, or get in on some of the production aspects of the movie. Or go to GoFundMe and put Big N Funky, the number or the letter N Funky. Also YouTube, we do have a YouTube channel. It's got some episodes of Wrestling with Ghosts and trailers and stuff like that on it, and there's some of our comedy bits. That is Big N Funky Productions. Big N, letter N, Funky Productions. Give it a like. We're almost to 1,000. People are. We can get like 10,000 people to like a page, but we can't get them to subscribe to our YouTube. So we could use some YouTube subscribers.
It's so impossible.
If you can subscribe, we're very close to getting where we can monetize, which would be awesome. So anybody out there that's got a YouTube account, go to Big and Funky Productions. Please do us a favor, like the page. We're getting very close where we can make a little bit of money off YouTube, which would be nice. It'd be very nice.
Click that little bell so every time they come out with something, you get a notification. But thanks again, Vinny and Luke, for being on the show. It was awesome having you on. You guys rock. I love you. And thank you to our friends on We Are Paradox Media, Facebook. And you guys take care of my ewes.